button, and suddenly we're live without anybody quite realising that we went live, and we just went live.
We've just gone live, have we?
Yeah, we've just gone live. Hello, everybody.
Hello, is anybody out there?
If you are there, please, it will be lovely to hear from you in chat, and also to confirm that John is seeing the chat in his view of me, which would be good. But you don't have to. Anyway,
well, it's interesting that that I just had a look on the internet on my phone, and 12 people started off, and then as soon as we said something, it went down to 11. So I can see that we've started off well.
Oh, we're professional. We are.
So I can't see any comments, Piers. I don't know if that's...
No, that's a thing. I will see what I can do about fixing that. You should be seeing it.
Some of you know that I don't drink alcohol, and this is a non-alcoholic beer. I'm not, as Matt Quinn said last week, an alcoholic. But I do like a non-alcoholic drink, so cheers to you all.
Yes, I'm just checking with my gadget, because we should be seeing chat in the window. I should be seeing chat on my window, and I'm not. So
I can see that. I can tell you who's chatting. We've got Vicky Fielden saying hiya.
I can see the YouTube chat. What I can't see is the combined chat that we should be seeing.
I see. Okay. Well, you concentrate on that, and I'll just talk to people as a...
Tell you what, do you want to sing a song or just talk to people as they come in? Your choice.
I'll talk for firsts. Vicky Fielden. Hi, Vicky Fielden. Where are you? I don't know where you are, actually. Oh. Hi, Vicky Fielden. Where are you? I don't know where you are, actually. That's very bizarre, isn't it? I better turn that
don't do the delay thing. That would be bad.
Marion Beat, I'm here. I'm glad to see you there, Marion Beat. Sue Wilks, I think I know her.
I hope so.
I lived with her for the first 18 years of my life. Hi, Mum. Gloria Rahija. Looks and sounds great so far. Well, we haven't done anything yet, Gloria, but I'm glad that you can see and hear. I believe you're in the States, aren't you, Gloria? Say where you are. Mark Turnbull's here from California. Thanks, Mark. That's great. John Eilert, I see him a lot on Twitter. I don't know where you're based, John. Tell everybody, tell us where you are.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I never ask that sort of stuff.
I'm a content whiz.
Oh, yeah. You've done this before. John's from Suffolk. Now, apparently, you should be seeing chat messages, but
the chat is ready. I can't
receive messages. Hang on a minute.
I have a guitar. Should I play something?
Yeah, you have a guitar. Play something.
Okay, let's see. I mean, by all means, people, do tell me if you have any songs you particularly would like to hear. Oh, everybody's chatting. Someone's from Sheffield. Vicky's from Sheffield. John's from Suffolk, as you just said. Marion's here from that there London. That there London? Is that there London? I don't know. Anyway, I will, seeing as we're talking about places, I'll start with the song about Birmingham, because I know Birmingham a little bit. Some of you will know. I know a few Birmingham songs. This one is called "I Can't Find Brummagem." Are you just going to tap away in the background? I can hear your mouse going.
I'm going to mute in a second. Sorry about
that. I'm very particular, Piers.
Yeah.
Let's see. I haven't played. I'll tell you the truth. I've not played live since probably March, maybe April. I've done a few things with Paul Sartin, as you know. Some of you will have seen Folk in the Field. So I've done a few things where I've been playing with other people, but I don't know how this machine works anymore. So let's see what we can do with it. Seems all right. Spoke too soon. Full 20 year or more have passed since I left Brummagem, so I set out for home at last, to good old Brummagem. But every place has altered so, there's hardly a place that I would know. It fills my heart with grief and woe. I can't find Brummagem. as I was walking down our street as used to be in Brummagem. I knowed nobody I did meet, there's no one there in Brummagem. And Spyshall Street's the great unknown, and so the old church stands alone. And poor old I stands here to groan, I can't find Brummagem. On Fridays to the ship ashore, we set sail for Brummagem. From the ship to Snobs we'd go once more, the heady nights of Brummagem. And though it all feels safer now, this cleanliness won't do somehow. This Digbus here I wouldn't know, I miss the rogues of Brummagem. Oh, I remember one John Grousey, Buckles made in Brummagem. He built himself a country house to be out the smokes of Brummagem. And though John's country house stands still, the town itself walked up the hill. Now he lives beside a smoky mill in the middle of the streets of Brummagem. Among the changes that abound in good old Brummagem, may trade and happiness be found in good old Brummagem. And though no ship ashore we've got, and Spyshall Street's a coffee shop, may we always have enough for a cup of milk within Brummagem.
Yes!
A few fingering mistakes, but you know, these things happen. Just to warm up, it's nice to play again.
Isn't it just?
And it's nice to play to you, Piers, because, you know, I always, when I've done these lockdown gigs, I appear just to be playing to a screen of very nice people who are sort of sending messages back, but nobody who's actually got a face. And you, Piers, have a face. So, and quite a handsome one at that. So there we go. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I think the thing that John Spires was saying about some of the Zoom concerts that he's done, where there is a wall of faces, and that must be magical, but that requires so much organisation on the part of the people doing the stewarding that they run on pre-sold tickets and paid staff doing that sort of stuff, which is quite hard to manage. For the kind of level that we're working, I think. But,
you mean to say that we're not as professional as those guys?
I'm not saying we're unprofessional. You might be. You forgot to ask me who John Spears was.
I'm sorry, yes. So Piers and I had a good chat last night, and we were talking about the whole thing to do with traditional folk music. This is something that I'm particularly passionate about, is that in the traditional folk world, you have this kind of problem where people sort of bemoan the fact that younger people don't come to traditional folk and they don't get it. And you have this kind of sort of also this thing where people talk about how, you know, I think the trad folk scene sort of occasionally recognises that it's perhaps a little bit insular and not as welcoming as it thinks it might be. And then you go along as somebody who is relatively new to traditional folk. You know, I remember going up the stairs into a folk club and just sort of thinking, you know, it's almost as though they turned the jukebox off and everybody turned to look at me. And I thought at the time that, you know, that I'd made a faux pas or something, but actually they're just turning to look at you and going, wow, a new person. But
yes,
but I think
they're actually really excited.
Yeah. I think the problem is that the reason that people don't come back again, having made that first trip, or one of the many reasons, is perhaps that traditional folkies and folk musicians have perhaps got a tad lazy and perhaps got a little bit sort of jaded, and they forget to tell people quite often. I mean, this by no means everybody, but on occasion you'll see musicians who forget to tell people what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So if somebody's fairly new, and I know this because people have said it to me, if you're fairly new to traditional music and you're sitting in the audience and the guy on stage or the woman on stage is just blathering off about, Cecil Sharp or Cecil Sharp House or collectors or any of these things, that person on stage is making the assumption that everybody else knows what you're talking about. And actually they don't. It's, Cecil Sharp may appear like some kind of godlike creature to folkies.
So Cecil Sharp, for people who don't know who it was sort of like the collector of what's come to be called the early 20th century folk revival. He was a school teacher, I believe, who whilst visiting a vicar in Lincolnshire, heard someone singing a rude song and thought, that's bloody awesome. I want to hear more of that. And went off.
I mean, that's how it happened for me as well. There was no vicar in Lincolnshire in the countryside. But
The Seeds of Love is a strange song to be singing in a vicarage garden.
I'd never thought of it like that. What? But let's remember, there are people watching, Piers, who don't know what the Seeds of Love is. Can you sing it? Oh.
Challenge. No, I can't do the Seeds of Love. I can't, even off the top of my head, I can't quite manage the other sort of. Anyway, before we go any further,
nicely passed by.
I'm just going to say hello to Banana, Adrian, Gloria. I've not greeted yet. Hi, Jackie. Lovely to see you. Who's Jackie Oates?
Yes, let's stop. Who is Jackie Oates? I mean, this thing is quite serious because I run the Old Songs podcast, and my aim with the Old Songs podcast is to get anybody interested in traditional music and get them on their trad folk journey, without them having to feel as though they've got to learn a million things on the way. And when I launched the Old Songs podcast, I had quite a number of people write to me and said that they enjoyed it and they thought it was good. And I know there's quite a few people who have gone on that journey and started that journey, and that's great. But I also had a bunch of folkies going, why are you telling us who Martin Carthy is? Now, Martin Carthy, who is Martin Carthy, Piers? But that's the thing, right? So folkies go, oh, Martin Carthy, he's like the Beatles of folk, rolled into one, but he's not a household name outside of the folk world. Sorry to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Martin's an old skiffle player who saw Sam Larner, a fisherman from Norfolk, singing.
He's an old Lonnie Donegan fan, isn't he?
Absolutely. Who saw Martin Carthy, who saw Sam Larner singing at a concert organised by Ewan McCall. Oh God! You see, the trouble is, it's all threads. And was utterly blown away by it. And went off finding folk music.
What is the folk music, Piers? What is folk music?
Oh, fuck off. Do you have an answer to that one?
I think the greatest answer is Martin Simpson's answer, which is folk music is music that accompanies a raffle.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of these days I'm going to work out how to do a raffle on this. Because, nowadays we've got Bandcamp releases. I can probably set things up so that you put your name in a hat and it spins a wheel. And whoever wins gets a free download code for an album or something like that. But I've not sorted that out yet, so I'm not doing it now.
The download code for that album, would that be your newly released album?
My newly released album. Or Midlife, depending on what people chose.
Yeah. What's Midlife, Piers?
Midlife is a record by John, full of songs from Brummagem and
Midlands, yeah. Midlands, hence the name, Midlife. It's not just because I'm aging rapidly, but partly because of that.
I think it's a fine pun in a song, actually. Anyway, I'm trying to remember what that song was that Martin talked about that Sam sang that blew his mind, and I don't think it's one I know.
Oh, the song that Martin... Okay, so what we're talking about here, just to keep everybody up, is that Martin Carthy, this famous folkie who is, let's face it, he is extremely important in traditional music. He's a guy who... who basically has unearthed huge amounts of songs from the archives, and he's arranged them and performed them in a wonderful, wonderful way. And he's a wonderful man, really lovely guy. And he famously, well, I say famously, I keep using words like that, not famously at all, but he went off to a club in London in the late 50s, early 60s, and he saw a fisherman singing there who had been brought in to sing these traditional songs. And the fisherman was called Sam Larner. And you can find Sam Larner on Spotify and places like that. He's A Time for Fishing, a Sam Larner album. Hold on a minute. Let's see if I can find it. Don't tell me I've lost it. So, somewhere on my shelf next to me, there's A Time for Fishing by Sam Larner, which is a 1961 original pressing.
Oh, nice.
And I promise you, it's my pride and joy. I promise you I haven't just lost it.
Yes.
Anyway, Martin Carthy saw Sam Larner singing, and he saw him sing a song called The Lofty Tall Ship.
Oh, yes.
And The Lofty Tall Ship, actually, in the very first episode of the Old Songs podcast, my good friend Nick Hart helps me uncover what that song's all about and why it's so special, and sings a very nice version of it himself, actually, unaccompanied, I should add, which is your specialty, isn't it? Do you do Lofty Tall Ship?
No, it's I don't know why. It just never really clicked with me.
As I was out sailing one fine frosty morn, and it was a fine lofty tall ship. Yeah.
Come sailing along.
I promise you, there are actually words.
There are better singers. There are better singers of that than us. I should probably learn it because it is a fun. I mean, that tune is just what.
Yes, it's an amazing tune. It's an amazing
Lofty Tall
tune.
Ship, about also known as Henry Martin, isn't it? About someone who is taken away and becomes a pirate, kind of against his will, because he's got to make money.
Based on a true story, story. Go and listen to the first episode of the Old Songs podcast. I'm all about the adverts tonight.
I've heard the first episode of the Old Songs podcast, and I'm ashamed to say I've forgotten it. That just means I'm going to have to listen to it again.
Okay. Yes. Very good. Piers, you haven't sung a song yet.
No. I was about to, and then.
What have you got? I did a song about place. Can you do a song about place? Can you do some? Is there anything from Yorkshire that you know? I believe that's where you are, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is about place, and it also manages to mention Mike Waterson at the same time because it's a song by him. And then we can explain who Mike was, and then that leads us to the Watersons and back to Martin Carthy again.
All roads lead to Martin Carthy. Shall I turn my sound down for a bit then?
Probably a good idea.
Okay.
Or just hit mute on Zoom.
Oh, okay. See if we can do that. Let me just.
This is a song that Mike wrote about Hull fishermen, and a friend of mine, Paul. Oh God. Paul Davenport. When I sang this at a thing we were doing, he explained some of the verses about the line about get yourself a suit made. Hi Carl, nice to see you. And how that was a particular kind of suit that these guys would make, because they basically went out on a Friday night or whenever they came in from the ship looking for a fight, because that's how life worked in the whole fishing trade at the time. Anyway, this is 3-Day Millionaire. I left school Friday, I started work on Saturday to catch the early tide and be a galley boy's me plan. On the fishing grounds to roam 1,800 miles from home, I couldn't give a bugger, I'm a man. I shall get to decky learning, it's the bonus I'll be earning, and the money it comes in handy for the old rantan. Brill cream in me a 3-day millionaire, I couldn't give a bugger, I'm a man. I shall get myself a suit made to show I'm in the fishing trade. I'll put me brother creepers on, I swagger where I can. All me pots are pint-sized, watch me getting paralysed to show the other buggers who's a man. And when I get to skipper, I'll get married, have a nipper. I shall take the lad to sea with me and I'll teach him all I can. I'll be a different sort of fella, have an house out in Kirkilla, and and I'll show the bleeding neighbours who's a man. I'll be a different sort of fellow, have a house out in Kirkellow, and I'll show the bleeding neighbours who's a man, who's a man.
Applause, applause.
Thank you very much for the donation from Fred there. That's very kind of you.
I'm seeing no words or anything, so you're
Yeah,
just going to have to tell me if people have questions or have things they want to say.
I certainly shall. You can.
I can see stuff on my phone.
If you see the YouTube one, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm watching Steam as well, which is not currently showing much, and the gadget that works as a chat relay on the stream has stopped bloody working. So that's
this thing about chatting to peers. Occasionally, you can see that the brain stops, and and you have to force it through, and it happens.
I'm afraid I get brain freeze sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I'll just go words.
I just want to say something very quickly. I think what Piers is doing here is a very lovely thing. I think anybody who does stuff with traditional music is doing a very worthy thing, especially to try to spread it around. In your chat, let's all have some of those emoji claps for Piers. More importantly, and I know he probably doesn't really want me to say this, but more importantly, he does have a Ko-fi link there where you can pop money in the pot. And
Gloria has just popped £9 in. Thank you very much, Gloria.
Thank you, Gloria. And that's this is you're completely furloughed up, aren't you, Piers? So this is very helpful to you. So
present.
He does this every week. Every Friday night, you'll find Piers here chatting to someone and singing with someone, and generally waving the flag for traditional music. And
I'm not committing to chatting to someone every week, but certainly every fortnight is the plan. Because I don't want to have that thing of if I suddenly have a huge influx of people I want to chat with, it'll go weekly, and I'll do a solo stream another day of the week. But I don't want to have that thing.
Well, hush up a minute while I get people to pay you some money. So just go to that Ko-fi link, give Piers a little bit of cash. He deserves it.
Well, thank you very much. Also, I should point out that half of everything you donate goes to John.
I don't need it. I have a job. I'm honestly, I have a job. This is something that I do for the love of it, and I honestly think, Piers, you keep it. It's all yours.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Carl. We'll have this argument later. Jackie, by the way, would you be interested in coming on at some point? It will be fabulous to have you.
Jackie, I'm going to explain who Jackie is very quickly. Jackie turns up in a lot of these streams, and Jackie is an extremely fine traditional singer, a wonderful fiddle player, a fantastic unaccompanied singer, and somebody that I'm very proud to call a very good friend of mine. We have actually just recorded a kind of weird album together that is not going to be released in any kind of formal way. It's actually been released on a computer game. Or a computer thing called Yotto. Now, if you are somebody of the age who's got grandkids of a fairly young age, you can buy a Yotto box. You can stick in a little card of English traditional nursery rhymes, and you'll hear Jackie singing and me playing Nick Jones style guitar along to things like, Pop Goes the Weasel.
The ship sails on the alley-alley-o, the alley-alley-o, the alley-alley-o. The big ship sails on the alley-alley-o on the first day of September. No?
Lovely, but it's much more Humpty Dumpty than that.
Do you do the if you see a crocodile, don't forget to scream verse, Jackie?
She did.
Good.
With my daughter, actually, who ended up doing backing vocals.
Thank you, Reinhard. Thank you, by the way, Jackie. I can't remember who else went by, but there was someone. I'm going to bring up the Ko-fi page so I can see that without it suddenly disappearing off my stream. And Valerie, thank you. You're all very kind.
Are they giving money, are they?
Kind. Yeah.
I can assume that, or are they just giving you clapping? I mean, both is welcome, right?
Both are welcome, absolutely. Are you hearing the Bingley Bongs occasionally?
No.
All right. Well,
I mean, in a way, this is quite good, because the problem with live streaming for me is that when people sort of turn up and say things, as lovely as it is, it's quite distracting.
Yes.
And one of the things about singing traditional songs is there are lots of words,
Yes.
and if people are turning up and chatting, as much as I love it, my eye wanders
Oh,
and I
yes.
forget what's going on.
I have the chat boxes are well out of my peripheral vision, but as much as possible. But
So,
when M donates £9, it's nice to actually see it.
thank you,
Thank
Em.
you, M.
I think Em is probably my friend Em in Norfolk, so thank you, Em. I've been trying to get Em interested in traditional music for a while.
Aha.
I think we might be succeeding. So, we mentioned Martin Carthy earlier. I'm gonna play a song now. This is a song that I recorded on my first solo album, which was called Songs from the Attic, and I made it about 3 years ago when I was just trying to find my way into traditional music, and I was blogging a lot about it on something called the Grizzly Folk, which I'm sure we'll chat about later. But
That's now on John Wilks Online.
yeah, everything I did on the Grizzly
Online
Folk,
now, isn't it? Yeah.
johnwilks.online. If you go in there and you look for,
I will paste the link while you're playing, and once I'm
okay.
muted.
So yeah, it was a blog that I was writing about 3 years ago. As I was finding my way into traditional music, I decided to do it by interviewing people who were deeply involved in it, and I ended up interviewing a lot of wonderful people, including himself, Martin Carthy.
That
This is a
interview
song.
is a really good read, I found as well.
Thank you.
You got some new stuff out of Martin, which is great.
Yeah.
And also some familiar stories out of Martin, which is also great because he tells them so well.
Yeah. He's a great raconteur. Anyway, this song is called The Bed Making.
Cool.
Great thing about the bed making for me is that it comes from a woman called Marina Russell who lived down in Dorset. And Marina Russell. So when you get into traditional music, what you find is that the collectors. So I'm just going to very quickly go through this for anybody who's listening who doesn't really know about it. The collectors are the people who realised at a certain point that perhaps the old songs, as they might call them, the songs of the sort of working people, the rural people, or perhaps even starting to be the industrial classes in the working in the factories, these songs were about to disappear because people were getting more and more interested in, they were able to listen to them on the gramophone or whatever the reason might be, and they realised that there was a wealth of songs that might disappear. So the collectors were a group of sort of usually quite educated people in the Victorian and Edwardian period who went out into the countryside,
Of course,
often on bicycles.
they didn't see the thing coming that wiped out most of those traditional singers, did they? It was like, oh shit, here's the Great War.
Yeah.
You know.
So they did it just in time, right? So
Yeah.
and Cecil Sharp, who we mentioned earlier, collected something like 8,500 songs in the space of something like 7 years.
And he was he had a phenomenal ear for notation. He could hear the thing once and get it down as far as anyone can tell.
Yeah, he was good at that. But what's generally thought of being his real talent was that he was able to wander up to, often people in the fields and get them to suddenly start singing.
Yeah.
If you think how weird that must have been for both sides of that conversation.
Yes.
To get them to suddenly sing. And sometimes it would take a few drams of ale, but sometimes it would be, they would just burst forth. And so you have, what they found is that you would occasionally come across source singers, specific singers, who had a wealth of songs. And Marina Russell had somewhere near 100, I believe, from what I remember. We get a huge amount of songs from her. My favourite little quote about Marina Russell is that I think it was a pair of brothers called the Hammond brothers who collected her. I may be wrong. It's a long time since I've done my reading and my research, but they went down to Dorset and they were collecting from her, and she was slightly doolally by that point apparently, and they didn't take much in terms of biographical information down, but what they did take down was this singular sentence which I always love, and that was severely lacking in faculties and teeth. And that's all that we know about Marina Russell.
There's one who's described as having a fine gnat-like voice, which I think is just It's just.
I think, if people were to ask me, ask me to do an elevator pitch on what I do, I would say that would suit me. I have a fine gnat-like voice.
Remind me what you're singing?
It's called the bed making.
The bed making. Is that on?
It's got a lot of words. I don't know. Can't remember. It's got a lot of words. It's a bit like rapping. It's like sort of Victorian rapping. Anyway, I'll play it because I've been rabbiting too long. I learnt it from the singing of Martin Carthy, as they say. And it goes like this. Father here was a good old man. He put me to service when I was very young. Well, my mistress and me, she never could agree, because my master, he loved me. Called me upstairs to the loft, make up a bed so neat and very soft. Followed up with a gay gold ring, saying, have that for your bed making. Down through the hall, all through the parlour and through the women's hall. He follows up with a gay gold ring, saying, have that for your bed making. Mistress comes upstairs in a haste. She caught him there with his arm around me waist. From the top of the stairs she did him ring, saying, have that for your bed making. Down through the hall, all through the parlour and through the women's hall. Everybody asked me wherever had I been, and I laughed when I stared at the bed making. Mistress threw me out of the door, called me a nasty cheeky little whore. Well, the weather being wet and me clothes being thin, I wished I was back at the bed making. Down through the hall, all through the parlour and through the women's hall. Everybody asked me wherever had I been, and I cried when I said at the bed making. Mistress threw me out of the door, calls me a nasty cheeky little whore. Well, the weather being wet and me clothes being thin, how I wished I was back at the bed making. 6 months over and 7 months past. A pretty fair maid who's thick around the waist. Well, the weather being cold. Oh, I've got the words now. Right back at the wedding. 8 months over and 9 months gone. Pretty fair maid had a pretty little son. Well, she took him to the church and she christened him John. Then she took him back again to the dear old man. Well, she cursed through the kitchen, down through the hall, cursed through the parlour and through the women's hall. If you won't pay me, take your little son John, 'cause he never cost you nothing but the bed making.
Yay!
You see,
applause.
Little rusty. I've not played that in a little while, but what's interesting about that is there are lots and lots of repeated little verses there. There's lots of chasing up and down the kitchen and through the kitchen and through the hall.
Yeah.
And as a singer, you kind of have to picture what's going on and try to remember. It's a bit like watching a Benny Hill program.
Yeah. Why are they chasing through the kitchens and the halls this time?
Yeah. What are they? It's nearly always there's either laughing or crying going on. It's quite hard to keep up.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Let me just put a thing here. This book here, Southern Harvest.
Yeah.
I think it's back in print.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you have it, but unlike the other reprints of the Wanton Seed and the like, they have some decent biographies of the singers, including a couple of pages on Marina Russell. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're,
I mean, we do. I said earlier that that's all we know about it. That's obviously not entirely true. it's what's interesting is that the collectors often didn't take very much detail down. They weren't interested in the singer, they were interested in the song, and quite often they weren't even that very much interested in the whole of the song. They were interested in parts of the song.
I mean, it's fascinating that, you know, people from over 100 years ago, the research that they've done for this is that they managed to put together biographies of people who are
long dead, long dead and very, you know, seemingly quite insignificant in their lifetime,
and not terrifically documented. I mean, it's one of the things that, do you watch The House Through Time, the David Orsoga thing?
No.
He does the sort of history of a house. The last one was a house built in Bristol for plantation owners, so there's quite a bit about slave owning. But of course, the houses like that go up and down in status. So some of the periods, I mean, all they found was 2 newspaper articles about, you know, they found a reference to a birth and they found the death certificate. But still, just astonishing how much can be found out about people of unrecorded people, I guess. And you know, the sort of the rhetoric around folk song is it's the song, it's the music of unrecorded people, isn't it? But I'm never quite sure. I'm always a bit wary of the likes of Sharp and promising to save traditional music from the people. No, for the people. Sorry, got that wrong.
Save it from the people. Who knows what they'll do with it?
Absolutely.
Well, actually,
little
what
bastards.
they'll do with it, they'll put
we leave
it
them
in
to
an archive and forget all about it.
Yes. Yeah. All sorts of contentious history around Eftus. You know, did you come? Presumably, have you come across the Kipper family at any stage in your?
The Kipper family. I've come across
family.
the Copper family.
Right, the Kipper family were, and Sid Kipper is still going.
Is it a children's book?
No. The Kipper. Oh, crikey! Really? This is going to be a delight. You really should seek them out. Quite hard to get because of the Celtic music fiasco. Although they will
stop the Celtic music fiasco.
Celtic music fiasco. Right. Okay. In the 70s and 80s, people like Bill Leader and a few other recordists were making small. Dam Busters, I think, is another one. Mike Harding was recorded on Dam Buster.
These are names of labels, presumably.
Well, yeah, Dam Buster's a label. Mike Harding, you know, folk
Mike
musician
Harding
and comedian.
And
people like Pete Coe, Nick Jones, and just take it for now that these were real major talents, still are in many respects. All recorded for these
what you're talking about. I'm
tiny little labels. Yeah. And then when the transition to CD came along, Dave, I can never remember his surname, and I do not wish to libel a really fine songwriter whose name always springs into my mind. But anyway, the owner of Celtic Music had snapped up Bill Leader's little labels and a few other stuff and things like that. And when the transition to CD happened, he refused to, the way he span it was he refused to print any CDs until the vinyl had sold out. But these are folk records, you know? Often debut or second albums of folk musicians, you know, you make 1,000 or however many you need to make. And ask any folk musician who's gone for the big multiple, how many of their debut CD they have propping up their bed. And so this stuff wasn't selling out, and then it became impossible to find. It is not possible to find digitally, and he has refused to license it and has occasionally put out really shoddy CDR recordings of stuff. I have Nick Jones's Ballads and Songs on a CD, but it's a CDR, and as far as I'm aware, he's not paid Nick a single cent in royalties, and he died some years ago. And there was a hope that it might not be a problem, but then
this is the famous one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's lost a case now, because that one is that the nice early pressing.
No, this came out. So tell people what this is.
This is Bright Phoebus. This is an amazing record of original songs by Mike and Lal Waterson. The Watersons, an amazing family of singers from Hull, and they were on. I can't remember what the label was, but they again that album vanished without a trace. So it's really hard to obtain. Domino thought they'd got a license for it, released a pressing 2-3 years ago now, and then
That's what that is.
Dave's son and the vicious lawyer that was the other half of Celtic Music proceeded to sue, and really distressingly fucking well won. So that record you've got is really rare because it had to be withdrawn. And it's
an astonishing record.
Yeah, and so many astonishing records lost. You know, the people like Pete Coe's Backshift. All of Pete Coe's back catalogue, really. An amazing record by Band Dogs, which was Nick Jones, Tony Rose, Pete and Sue Coe, because they were Pete and Chris Coe. They were married at the time, and it's a fabulous, fabulous record, and it's almost impossible to get hold of, and it's got some wonderful material on it, and there are heartbreaking stories like this of material. I mean, they tried to sue Nick Jones. Nick Jones had a horrific car accident in the 80s, driving home from a gig, suffered brain damage, and is no longer able to play and sing at the same time. He can't really play like he could play. Still sings amazingly well. I saw him at the Festival Hall. But with his son Joe playing guitar, it was just amazing. But Nick's back catalogue is not available. So they put out a call to anyone who'd got basically bootlegs of live gigs, and put together, I think the first one was In Search of Nick Jones and the second one was Game Set Match, put together from radio sessions and recordings from the audience. And it's a fantastic record because, if nothing else, it demonstrates that Nick did it live, you know, just an amazing talent. And Celtic tried to sue him for that as well. Lost in that particular case, but Bulmer. That's it. Thank you, Nancy.
Nancy. Who's Nancy?
Nancy Kerr.
Nancy Kerr's here.
Yeah.
Hey, Nancy Kerr. I've yet to talk to you. I'm going to track you down for the Old Songs podcast.
That would be good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Nancy Kerr knows a bit about folk music, doesn't she?
I think she does, yeah. 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 I think it runs in the family.
Yeah. Do you want to? I mean, that was an in joke. Do you want to explain that?
God, we'll never get to sing. Who sang last? I think you sang the bed making, didn't you? Yeah. Let's sing something, and then maybe
go on.
Explain about because
sing Bagpuss.
I've not even got to the kippers yet. We will stickle it, we will prickle it, we will fix it with glue, glue, glue. We will every little bit, like new. Jill did the folk degree at Newcastle. I'm sorry, I've gone off on a tangent. Jill is my wife.
I'm not going to let you go.
You've
got to explain everything.
And the course director was shared between Alistair Anderson, amazing concertina player, and Sandra Kerr, Nancy's mum, and phenomenal singer songwriter. She was there in at the heart of that of the 60s revival, and has a bewildering skill as a songwriter. Really good at taking interview material and real people's voices and turning them into song, as well as being a fine singer of traditional song. And but she was also the voice of the ragdoll in Bagpuss, and the mice and a few other things. And her then husband was the toad. Or the frog. Nancy can probably tell me more of that than I can.
And while we're on that subject, just while we're thinking about people who've been in other children's programmes, Peter Knight, who performs with Knight and Spires, and was also in Steel-Eyed Steel Span.
Steel Eye Span. But everybody was in Steel Eye Span at some
But
point.
he's like a mainstay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Incredible man, incredible musician, incredible violinist. I released a cover version from one of my most recent singles, which again you can find on Spotify. It's called From a Lullaby Kiss. And he was Great Uncle Bulgaria.
Oh, well, there you go.
I don't know if he was constantly Great Uncle Bulgaria or if he just did it.
Anyway,
He did it for the TV once.
the anecdote I was trying to get through
I'm sorry.
was that Sandra has a set of little plastic mice where you press them on the head and they start singing one of the mice songs. And there were 2 or 3 of them. So at one point, at one party, they were sitting there trying to get them to start at the right, because all the mice songs work as a round. So they were just setting them off in train, trying to get them so the round worked, but they were all a bit slightly out of time, so it didn't quite work as well as it could have done. But anyway, sorry.
What are you going to sing?
Do you know, I've not got the faintest fucking idea.
Now, there are so many ways you could have gone there. It could have been the Celtic music thing, Fiasco.
Yeah.
You could have sung one of their songs. There's apparently hundreds there.
Yeah.
It could have been a Nancy or Sandra Kerr song.
And do you know, I don't sing many of Nancy and Sandra's.
No?
No, sorry.
Well, okay, we'll take it off in a whole different direction.
I've already sung a Mike Waterson song, so I'm not going to sing that one.
Whatever you sing, can you make it relatively long? Because I need to go and get a beer.
Right, in that case, I'll sing a ballad.
I mean, not Tam Lin or anything. We don't need like 10, 11 minutes, but like the fridge isn't a mile away.
Yeah, this is Bill Norrie that I got
Nice.
from Faye Heald, who
Go for
I
it.
believe got it from Damien Barber, who I'm pretty sure got it from Martin Carthy. Who
Good.
knew?
Well, everybody here knows who Martin Carthy is now. So
Anyway, let's get on with it.
go for it.
Young Bill Norrie's a fine lad, and he lives like the wind. I shine like the silver of gold in the morning sun. Oh, friend John and dear John, do you see what I see? By there stands the first woman that ever loved me. Yes, there stands the first woman that ever loved me. And here is a glove, John, it's lined with silver grey. Carry it to her and tell her to come to young Billy. And here is a ring, John, it's all gold but the stone. Carry it to her and tell her to ask for the leaving on. Oh, friend Billy and dear Billy, you know my love for thee, but I will go to nobody and steal his wife away. Oh, friend John and dear John, swim not against the tide. Be with me in the stream, John, for I will be obeyed. And John's run down to the high house, he's rung low at the door. Who was there but this woman to let young Johnny in? And here is a glove, lady, it's lined with silver grey. Bid you come into Greenwood and meet with young Billy. And here is a ring, lady, all gold but the stone. Bid you come into Greenwood and ask for the leaving on. But her husband stood in the shadows, an angry man was he. I never thought a man lived my love, loved more than me. I never thought a man lived my love, loved more than me. And he's gone down into her room, he's dressed in her array, and like some woman he's rode out to meet with young Billy. And young Billy stood in the greenwood, he whistled and he sang. By there comes the woman that I have loved so long. And Billy's run down and down there to help her as she came. But oh, the sight that he saw, his heart grew cold as stone. Yes, Billy's run down and down there to help her from her horse. Oh, And oh, he cries out, a woman was never so gross. And the husbandman had a long knife, it hung down by his knee. And he's taken Billy's head right off of his fair body. And he's ridden home and home there and down into the hall. He's thrown the head to her, crying, Lady, catching the ball. And she's picked up the head there, she's kissed it cheek and chin. Better I love this dead boy than all my kith and kin. Yes, she's picked up the head there and clasped it to her womb. Once I was full, and this boy as the plum is of the stone. For when I was in my dad's house with my virginity, a young man came into my room and we got young Billy. And I bore him in my room in secrecy and shame. I loved him in the greenwood, out in the wind and rain. And I will kiss his clay cold lips, and I will kiss his chin. And I will vow and I'll stay true, I will never kiss man again. I'll make a vow and I'll stay true, I will never kiss man again. And up then spoke the husband, a sad, sad man was he. If I had known he was your son, he would not be killed by me. If I had known he was your son, he'd never have been killed by me.
That's a grisly one, isn't it?
Isn't it just? Yeah. Well, it's the Trad Song Tuesday. On Tuesday is phase. The subject is about childbirth and childbearing, and I reckon that was the one that Faye's essay talking about the cruel mother and stuff like that, which I don't have a link to hand, but
Faye being.
Faye being, hold on a minute, hang on a minute. Nancy, I've seen the message, I just need to allow it to be shown. There you go. Grey cock. Yeah, I will sing the grey cock later. But YouTube decided it was rude. So it got held while I moderated it.
That sounds like another grisly one. I know what it is, though. So
Yeah.
it's also called The Lover's Ghost, isn't it? It could be considered a Brummie song in various ways.
Yeah. But I like that Bill Norrie is just that turn, because you think you know how it's going, and then suddenly it's like, what, and then again, that he rides out and you think, all right, he's going to chop. Oh, shit, he's just chopped his head off. What's going on now? Just amazing.
Yeah.
I once sang that to my mother, and she just said, "Why would anybody sing that?"
Yeah. Well, it's
and I'm not sure I have a good answer. I can't resist it.
Yeah, you've not done any head chopping off yourself, have you? It's not something that you kind of feel. You feel it in your.
No,
you don't have that experience, do you?
No. It has to be a moment of imagination, a work of imagination there when singing that.
You sing it very well.
Well, thank you very much.
I enjoyed it. It sounds
Good.
lush, girt lush, as they say in my earphones. So
that's good.
Yeah. Where next? Where are we going next? I just left the room to go and get a beer, which I've almost half consumed. This is non-alcoholic beer, I should point out.
Hang on.
And I went through into the kitchen, and my wife was sat there watching you, and she had the beer poured and held out.
You see, this is service.
Yeah, well, she, I was quite amazed. So somewhere out there, Emmy Wilks is watching secretly.
Oh, lovely. Well, Carl Sinfield has suggested that the grey cock could also be known as the sausage man. So I think we know what we'd like you to sing next, John.
The sausage man, cripes! It's been a while, Carl. I have a feeling Carl has caught me out before. I think it was Carl who asked for a song once when I played on a live stream early in lockdown.
Hey, Emmy.
And he was the one person who popped back afterwards and said,
Emmy is waving. Sorry.
She's always waving.
Yeah.
Hiya, Em. Yeah, he popped back and said that he'd spotted that I'd got the words wrong. So let's see what we can do with the sausage man. I can do the sausage man, I think. You may have to forgive me as I forget some of the words, or I...
John, there's a sneaky thing, you know. Nobody's going to notice if you're reading the words off the screen in front of you.
Well, my computer is a little bit slow, hence last week's Gremlins. And so if I was to try to look at words on a screen and stream at the same time...
Ah, yes.
But, this is how good we can go. Hold on one tick. Oh, sorry, I've just crashed into the microphone. Is everything all right? This here,
Yep.
Brummagem Ballads. This is edited by a chap called Roy Palmer. Roy Palmer is
He's a
classic scholar, no longer with us. His widow sent me this when she heard that I was interested in traditional Brummie songs.
Oh, wow, how lovely.
This is where the sausage man comes from. So let me see if I can find the words and just make sure that I sing it to you properly.
Right, I'm just going to... Vicky, Carl has asked for Shallow Brown. Is that in your repertoire?
Yeah.
Right, okay, I won't do it then. And Vicky asks how we know each other.
We don't.
Twitter, Vicky.
This is the first time we've met.
It is pretty much. Yeah, I used to read John's Grizzly Folk blog and really enjoyed it. And we sort of are together. We're on Twitter and we have conversations on Twitter. And I've responded to some of the stuff that his Old Songs podcast's about and stuff like that. So yeah, we're just
a pair of geeks
absolutely
passing in the night.
Yeah, it's also the folk scene thing that happens. You sort of pass by a person 5 or 6 times, and suddenly it's like, oh yeah, I know them, and you don't, but you sort of do.
Yeah, it's weird going to Sidmouth after you've met, or a festival like Sidmouth after you've met a lot of people on Twitter, because you're sort of like, I can't wait to see that person, and then you meet them, and you realise you don't know them at all,
yes.
And you've suddenly got to get to know them.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I met Jackie, who's out there, Jackie Oates. I supported Jackie at a gig, and she was kind enough to sit around and listen and infuse. And then I think we probably met again at Sidmouth, where I entertained her daughter playing Red and Yellow and Pink and Green. That doesn't count as one of my songs, does it?
No, don't worry.
I love Sidmouth. I miss Sidmouth this year.
Yes, it's. I never get there for a full week, but and they've never booked me, bastards. But it's that and Whitby, which is this week, or should be starting tonight. They're like a Highland gathering or some kind of, where all the nomads get together and make new law or whatever it may be. Although I don't think we actually do that at Sidmouth.
Make new law.
Yeah, probably not. John, I am going to slope off and top up my bottle of water while you're singing. So,
I'll play this song to people then.
Yeah.
I'll introduce it, and you can toddle off and fill your bottle.
Brilliant. Thank you.
So the Sausage Man, as I just said, was something that I'd learnt from a sheath of papers that was given to me by the widow of Roy Palmer, who was a Brummie folk scholar. It's a great song in a certain way. It's basically a lot of innuendo, and there was an interesting thing happened the other day. There's a guy on Twitter who studies Victorian literature, and he had discovered it as well, and we kind of got linked up by various people, sort of saying he had found the broadside, which was the original printed version of the song, and he was talking about it because it's basically just full of dick jokes. Is essentially what it is a song that appears to be a song that was written to advertise somebody's sausage roll shop, probably around the 1840s, I think it was, and it names places in Birmingham. And that's what's lovely about it, is that you get a real sense of place. And he he clearly commissioned a song, and whoever wrote this song got a couple of verses into it, and then perhaps got bored and just started seeing how many Willie jokes he could stick into it. Ooh, that's a little bit cheeky, isn't it? And he also beautifully set it to a Victorian hymn, which, from what I can make out listening to the original Victorian hymn, is an absolute dirge, and has no place existing anymore, because it's just a really boring piece of music, unless all these Willie jokes are set to it. So I'll see what I can do with it. Well, there's a place called Birmingham, the population's great. The toy shop of the world is said, with artisans elate. Well, there's New Street and a street called High. You can see the fashion stroll, and one who always greets the eye, he calls out sausage roll. Sausage roll, he'll call out sausage roll. That's your bit. You have to sort of sing along to that then. His apron is as white as snow, his whiskers, they're all red. To all he makes a courteous bow, it's how he earns his bread. Well, he's capped, clean-shirted and polished-shoed, as black as any coal. His jacket's striped in pink and blue. He calls out sausage roll. Sausage roll. He'll call out sausage roll, yes. Sausage roll. He'll call out sausage roll. And this is where it starts getting a little bit cheeky. Cover your ears if you're of a sensitive nature. Well, a pretty missus with her mama, who cannot help the whim. However beautiful they are, their fancies will begin. Well, to take an ice or a jelly tart, this mama can control, but nothing pleases this maiden fair like this man's sausage roll. Sausage roll. You call out sausage roll. Well, I cannot tell if quantity affects so much his sale, or if indeed the quality, or perhaps his pleasing tale. Well, I cannot tell you the reasons why this man, he will not stroll to male or female passers by and present his sausage roll. Sausage roll. He presents his sausage roll. If mamas will fastidious be, and papas will be blessed, if daughters will not always see their truest interest. And I ask you, ladies, what can be right for ladies on the whole? Well, I'd say don't stay out late at night and sigh for sausage roll. Sausage roll. Sigh for sausage roll. Sausage roll. Sausage roll. Sigh for sausage roll. And sigh for sausage roll.
Yeah!
Put it away. day, Piers.
Thank you for the donations, by the way, from John Nice and Anonymous.
John Nice
them
is a
off my
lovely
list.
fellow. John Nice, do you know who John Nice is? Let's do John Nice for a second.
No, I don't know John Nice. It's not a
So
name that...
the Grizzly Folk
Right.
is a blog, as you know, was a
Yes.
blog, but it was named after a band that I play in, a duo. And that duo does still exist. It's called the Grizzly Folk, and it's me and John. And John and I met when we lived in Japan, and we started playing together. We didn't really know what to play musically, Piers, together. We didn't really know what to play. So we'd turn up to these sort of gigs at Japanese concert venues, and we would play things like the Gloucestershire Wassail just to see what would happen. And amazingly, our version of the Gloucestershire Wassail, or the wassailing song as it's known on Spotify and things like that, the wassailing song, the Grizzly Folk, the amazing thing is that it gets listened to by thousands of people each month now, and most of them are in Indonesia. So I've just got this wonderful image of sort of the Gloucestershire Wassail being quite a sort of mini hit in Jakarta. Go
You're
there.
big in Jakarta.
They're all there. They're all listening.
So, I mean,
to it.
1,000 plays a month, that's probably a penny a year, isn't it?
We do quite well out of it, Piers. We do. It's, you know, we have to split that penny. And sometimes we fight over it.
Right. You've started the smut. Oh, dear.
Oh, my gosh. I heard my daughter's in bed.
Or I hope she's listening. I know she enjoys it. Hang on, that came out far worse than I meant it to be.
Be careful. It's after 9, though. It's after 9.
It is after 9. If she's up, she's in trouble. That's still not sounding good.
So I'm just looking at the comments. I've got them on my phone. So
Yeah.
Nancy Kerr has pointed out Cecilia Costello. Yeah, Cecilia Costello, I think that's in relation to the Grey Cock. Cecilia Costello's version, certainly on the record that I've got, is known as the Lover's Ghost. Cecilia Costello is a fascinating woman who I believe worked in the workhouse in the early 20th century. She was collected in the 60s. Partly by Roy Palmer, amongst other people, partly by Pam Bishop, who's a woman that... and
she apparently kind of got discovered. A friend of mine, Colin Cater, remembers seeing her performing and being amazing. She just wouldn't stop.
She had a lot of songs. She's another one with tons and tons of songs.
Yeah.
And there are YouTube videos of her singing.
Wow.
In her armchair in Digbeth in Birmingham. And she's quite croaky and quite old, and you could get the sense that she didn't suffer fools gladly.
No.
You know, I was talking to someone the other day. I was talking to my friend Catherine Priddy, who is a young folk singer who's just sort of starting out, and she's interested in the tradition, and she's interested in the Brummie tradition because she's from Birmingham.
Yeah.
And she was also talking about not really wanting to be put into that, you know, sort of slightly twee female traditional singer box.
Yeah.
And I was saying, well, Cecilia Costello is anything but that.
Yes.
She's hard as nails.
And Margaret Barry as well.
Yes.
Irish
Cecilia
singer.
Costello was one of the few contemporary sources for the Peaky Blinders. She had a song.
Oh, right.
She had a song called "My Bloke's a Peaky," and she could remember. She could remember seeing the Peaky Blinders, not the sort of Hollywoodified version, but seeing the actual sort of street thugs in the street. And if you saw them come in, you walked across the road, she said.
Yes. Hi, Solomon on Twitch. The beard's growing back. I do need to shave it off because it really does not play well with masks. But thank you, David Matthewman, for your donation. You're very kind.
I believe the ball's now in your court.
Absolutely, yes. I was just thinking, if we were doing this in the full-on Twitch streamer influencing thing, we'd accept requests, but only if they were wrapped in a £5 note. However...
well, why don't you do the Grey Cock? Seeing as we've done the Sausage Man, and Nancy's been talking about it.
I was going to sing something smutty, but I can sing the Grey Cock, which only has a smutty title.
We should point out that it's a smutty title, but it's definitely not what you think it is.
It's actually about a cock.
Thankfully, it's not what you think it is. Because that
When
would
you
be a
say
fairly...
thankfully, John,
Well, think about the title. That would be a miserable, really quite unpleasant song, wouldn't it? A
every
grey cock.
morning, I never oversleep, it's true. For off I go when me cock begins to crow. Cock, cock, cock-a-doodle-doo.
That's not the grey cock, but I
It's
like
not.
it. Can you keep going?
The only thing I can remember is the bloody chorus of it, but it's an absolute belter. I went to market. No, that's a different cock song. I went to market to buy a cock, and me cock didn't very well please me. Every time I fed me cock, I fed him under a tree. And me cock and cock and cock and cock-a-doodle-doo. And after every farmer's crock did my cock crow. And so on. And
I like it.
I could probably busk enough of that, but I'm not going to.
No. It almost seems a shame to do the grey cock now after that.
I must be going, no longer staying. The burning Thames I have to cross. I will be guided without a stumble into the arms I love the best. And when he's come to his true love's window, he's knelt down gently all on a stone, and through the pane has whispered softly, my darling dear, do you lie alone? And she's raised her head from a down soft pillow, and snowy warm milk-white breasts, and through the pane she's whispered softly, who's that disturbing my long night's rest? Damn. 'Tis I your love, but don't discover. I pray you rise, love, and let me in, for I am fatigued from my long night's journey. Besides, I am wet onto my skin. And she's raised her up with the greatest of pleasure, thrown open the window and let him in, and it's there they've kissed and embraced each other. Through that long night they lay as one. And then it's Willie dear, oh my dearest Willie, oh where's that colour you had some time ago, Mary dear? The clay has changed me, and I'm but the ghost of your Willie-o. So then it's cock-o, cock-o, handsome cockerel, I bid you not crow before it is day, and your wings I'll make of the very first beaten gold. Your comb I will make of the silver grey. But the cock he crew, and he crew so fully. He crew 3 hours before it is day, and before 'twas day my love had to leave me, not by light of the moon, nor light of the sun. Oh, Willie dear, oh, my dearest Willie, oh, when shall I see you again? When fishes fly, love, and the seas run dry, love, and the rocks they melt in the heat of the day.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
That was The Grey Cock, or The Lover's Ghost.
I've just noticed
Yeah.
YouTube let Carl refer to Fanny Power without any problems at all. But Marion wasn't allowed wasn't allowed to slip as the bantam cock.
I don't know what to do with all that.
Schnurk. I presume you have something ready to roll.
Yeah, so you've just sung a song that in my neck of the woods would be related to Cecilia Costello, who we've just mentioned. So I'm going to do a Cecilia Costello number now. It's similarly distressing, but there we go. You know, folk
It's
songs.
folk. You know, I mean, if you don't have a body count at the end of a folk set, you're not really trying.
There was a lady who lived in York, all alone and a lonely, oh. She's proved a child by her father's clerk, down by the greenwood side, oh. As she was walking on her father's lawn, all alone and lonely, oh. She's thought 3 times that her back would be broke, down by the greenwood side, oh. As she was walking on her father's lawn, all alone and lonely, oh. It's Honourable Mary, pity me, down by the greenwood side, oh. As she was walking on her father's lawn, all alone and lonely, oh. It's there her 3 sons they were born, down by the greenwood side, oh. And years went by, then one summer morn, all alone and lonely, oh. She saw 3 boys playing bat and ball, down by the greenwood side, oh. Oh boys, if you mind, all alone and lonely, oh. I dress you up in silk so fine, down by the greenwood side, oh. Oh mother dear, when we were thine, all alone and lonely, oh. You never dressed us in silk so fine, down by the greenwood side, oh. You took out your long penknife, all alone and lonely, oh. And there you took away our 3 lives down by the greenwood side. Oh, my fine boys, what will become of me? All alone and lonely, I'll be 7 long years a bird in a tree down by the greenwood side. You'll be 7 long years a tongue in a bell, all alone and lonely. You'll be 7 long years a porter in hell, down by the greenwood side.
Yes!
Oh, it's another very grisly one, isn't it? That's
Isn't it just?
infanticide. A little bit infanticide.
A little bit infanticide, yes. I suppose I'm going to have to do sororicide next. You know, let's get them all.
I don't think I even know what that is.
Killing your sister.
Oh, okay. Yes, that would make sense.
The thing I was talking about, Faye's blog about births and problem births and stuff like
Who's
that.
Faye Pierce?
Faye Heald, fine singer and professor now at certainly Dr. Faye Heald at Sheffield University, runs Soundpost, which is an organisation that runs singing weekends and stuff, and is an all-round excellent person. She blogged about the sort of problems with children and unwanted pregnancies in folk song, and discussed that very song.
Yeah.
And talked about the sort of like the. She finds it really hard to sing because of the vengeful nature of the children. And the way I read that, she's rewritten it so that they're comforting their mother. The way I read that is that it's that I'm generally not. Any time I see supernatural in a story, it's allegory or it's and I read it as that she is beating herself up for what she's done to her children, and it's entirely subconscious and guilt rather than actual ghosts. But of course, these are choices we make when we sing these songs, aren't they? You know, you kind of want to decide what's going on there.
Yeah, and I think for me, I don't think I have decided what's going on there. I mean, I think I've been trying to record that song for my next album, and I've gone back and forth with it, and I think it's largely because I'm finding my way into the song still. Like, I do. I mean, I get what you mean, the allegory, that sort of thing. There's a part of, I suppose, a slightly more realist part of me that kind of thinks that the song is probably about ghosts because it comes from a time when that sort of superstition was more prominent, and
Yes.
And I think the allegory side of it that you're adding to it there is a way to sort of to deal with it in a modern sense. If you feel certainly if you feel uncomfortable with singing it, as many people might do.
Part of it is I feel uncomfortable as a man singing it as well. It feels very. For me, all this stuff gets fenced about with for me,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
From my point of view, I find that a tricky song to approach because it's quite strongly about a woman's experience.
Yeah,
Although I'll happily sing Bill Norrie, which is again that. Anyway, but yeah,
for me, the thing that I find interesting about some of these songs, and this goes for so many layers of a song like that, are the tensions that come with singing it. And there could be a tension there as singing it as a man. I'm saying tension there, not attention. There is tension there singing it as a man. I find there's tension in the beauty of the melody clashing up against the nastiness of, let's say, the harshness of the lyrics, because it's an incredibly sad, gentle, delicate tune.
And I mean, an incredibly sad story.
But then you've got these sort of bits where, yes, you pulled out your long penknife and you took away our 3 lives, and you know, yeah, and then those last 2 verses where I think I can totally see why you would read that as allegory.
Yeah.
Sort of like it's somebody. It sounds like somebody beating themselves up for something quite
Yes.
quite horrific.
And I mean, it's interesting as well that I mean, I did a bit of research on this, and we've had special laws in this country covering infanticide, which is the murder of your child when the child is 1 year or younger, on our statute books for hundreds of years. We've as a society, as the British society and British law has recognised postnatal depression essentially as being a thing, and that the mother who kills their children in that period is not necessarily held to the same level of responsibility as somebody else killing children of that age or whatever. So it's interesting that it's always been seen as a kind of special case.
Can I just jump in? I mean, I think it's fascinating. I can't see any of the comments at the moment, or
Yes.
how many people are here. I'm thinking, Friday night, we're talking infanticide. Are we the only ones left? Has everybody?
No, we
gone
have
home?
16 people currently watching.
There we go. Okay, so 16
Actually,
people who
one
are,
version says 19 people currently watching, one version says 16.
some of
And
them are
that's
lost in
just
the
on
ether.
YouTube. So we've not put anyone off with our infanticide talk.
What are you going to? Where are we going to go next?
Well,
Not that I necessarily want us to move away from infanticide. I'm quite happy to keep going if you want.
well, as I said, sororicide was the thing that
That's
sprang
where you're going
to mind.
next.
And
Right,
the
okay.
weird thing is, I've got 2 different choices of sororicide.
Again, I don't know what to do with that.
Let's go with this is a modernised version of one of the many incest ballads. Let's get it out there.
See ya.
This was recorded by Boiled in Lead, and Adam Stempel, I think it was, is the person who put the extra verses to it, and I think they wrote the tune as well. But as the sleeve notes on the record said, usually at the end of this song, what happens is the mother helps the bloke escape. In their version, "Think Again, Willie" is how the sleeve notes finish. So this is Christ, what's it called? Down by the Greenwood side.
Oh, another one.
I think so. Yeah, I'll find out
Are you
what I
about to
remember.
sing the same song that I've just sung?
I'll find out what the chorus is when I sing it.
Okay, I'll mute myself. Off you go.
It's up in the kitchen, down the hall, a little lonely Willie's father of his sister's child, down by the greenwood side. Son, oh son, why you so pale? A little lonely, I've been down in the greenwood hunting quail, down by the greenwood side. There's no quail away down there. A little lonely, I've been down there shooting the white-tailed deer, down by the greenwood side. There no pistol kills a deer. A little lonely, oh Willie, where's your sister dear, down by the greenwood side. Mother, oh mother, make my bed. A little lonely, for I have shot my sister dead, down by the greenwood side. Son, oh son, where will you go? A little lonely, for your father will kill you when he comes to know, down by the greenwood side. He'll bury you on yon hill. A little lonely, if he doesn't kill you, I surely will, down by the greenwood side.
Loved it.
Yeah, it's a fabulous version of it, and I love
Where's
that.
that from?
Boiled in Lead, a band from Minneapolis.
Yeah, it's got a much more American sound to it. hasn't
Yeah. I mean, Pistol.
it? Yes.
The-
I think we've got pistols in British
Yes,
history.
but they tend not to show up in that particular. It's things like your greyhound's blood was never so red, and yeah,
Adieu, adieu.
yeah. I can't remember now how the other version, because that's the one that's sort of settled in my brain, and that's the version of that particular plot that I sung. Sheath and Knife, Son O Son, yeah, this is on Twitch, Hugh Waterhouse pointing out other names by which it's known. It probably has a round number. I'm pretty sure it has a child number. It's so what are child number and round numbers, John? You've got this rehearsed because you do it in your podcast.
Child and round numbers are just ways to talk about the songs in a sort of librarian fashion. So Steve Roud is still alive, very much so, and he's much like us. I think if this situation had existed when he was a young man, he would have been joining you and having a bit of a sing as well. He was a geek, effectively a geek who loved traditional songs.
Hugh Waterhouse, by the way, on Twitch has just pointed out it was child 13. Thank you, Hugh.
See, we have all the geeks. The geeks have turned up.
I don't have my Bronson to hand, so I can't go and find other tunes.
Piers' videocast brings all the geeks to the yard.
To the yard, yes. Damn right. We're
Welcome,
geekier than
one and
yours.
all. Welcome. Steve Roud used to collect information about songs on library cards and stick them in a shoebox under his bed. And he would add to them every time he'd find out a bit of information about the song, and eventually it grew much larger than the underneath of his bed, and he put it onto it. He told me he had an Amstrad computer in the 80s, and he put it all onto his Amstrad, and then eventually the EFDUS, the English Folk Song Dance Society, decided they needed what he was doing.
Or as the Kippers referred to them once, dance earnestly and forget about Song Society. Or deaf-ass.
And Child was a collector, but not a collector in the way that we were talking about collectors an hour ago. He was a collector, kind of a desk collector, although not collecting desks. Clearly, he was collecting songs when people would send them to him.
He was professor of English at Princeton or something, wasn't he?
Harvard, Princeton. I
Harvard.
can never remember which one it is.
I think it's Harvard.
Anyway, his songs were published in 5 volumes, which I've got over there. And so in a sense, the original archivist.
Because he was collecting in the late, quite early by comparison to the people who went out into the field. And I always think it's interesting because Child collected because he was interested in the words.
Yes.
And an awful lot of the people who went out collecting, Vaughan Williams, Percy Granger, Cecil Sharp, bunch of people were more interested in the tunes than in the words.
Yeah, they were musicologists, weren't they?
Yeah, I find it interesting that they would go, and you find notations of things like the first verse and then usual words, and carefully then notating every single variation of the tune that this singer sang, but not actually bothering to give us the variations of the particular words that they had to it, which I always find slightly frustrating.
Yeah, so that's who those two are. And again, I'm going to do a little self-publicity. The Old Songs podcast, if you're interested in the amount of geekery that's just come out of our mouths, that's what the Old Songs podcast is all about.
URL, it's from johnwilks.online.
You can find all of them on johnwilks.online, all the episodes. I think I've done 11 so far. I started in January. There's been some great ones on there, some stuff that I love it because I get to learn. Clearly by no means am I an expert in this. I know a lot of stuff in a very kind of amateur geekery way, so I like to get real experts to come and tell me about stuff, and that's how I learn about it, and hopefully that's how the listeners learn about it as well. I was on a podcast the other day called Old Tunes, Fresh Takes, which was lovely.
They were
talking to me as though I was some kind of expert, and I felt a little uncomfortable, actually, because I think there are people out there who really know this stuff.
Really are experts.
Like Faye Heald, who you mentioned a couple of times. And singers who've done it all their life, like Nancy, who was on the chat earlier, and Jackie and people like that. So I feel a little bit of an imposter pretending to know these things. But
I think we're all just doing our best.
Aren't we just?
We're just following whatever our interest is. I always find it interesting the historically we have
Oh yes, sorry, I can see.
given an awful lot of rep and kudos to the people who are called the collectors, you know, Cecil Sharp and that crowd of people who formed after us, and the first of whom was a woman, Lucy Broadwood, who collected the coppers in 1898 or something.
I wasn't there. I don't remember.
English Song Society was founded. This is one of these things about the Copper family that is just mind-blowing.
Who are the Copper family?
The Copper family, a singing family from the village of Rottingdean in Sussex, who we know for sure have been singing for 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the 5th generation of them that we know for absolute certain sure are currently gigging. But they have. And actually, this is the thing. They were recorded singing by, I think it was Lucy Broadwood at the Big House in Rottingdean. And she noted down a bunch of songs, basically kept and plied with beer and noted the songs down. And then went back to London, fired up with enthusiasm for this material, and was instrumental in the foundation of the English Song Society. And her report on her paper on the coppers and on their material was then given at the first ever meeting of the society. And the coppers were then completely forgotten until 1950 something, when the BBC were had a magazine programme, and they played a recording of some bloke with a piano singing one of the songs that is in the Coppers' repertoire. And Bob Copper, who was the sort of patriarch who's the bloke who became well known, let's say. He was actually young Bob Copper at the time. His father heard that on the radio and sort of said to Bob when he next said, "Yeah, Bob, they were singing one of our songs on the radio last night." And Bob said, "Oh, what was it like?" He said, "Oh, not very good." So Bob wrote a slightly rude letter to the BBC saying, "If you want to hear these songs sung properly, get yourself down to Rottingdean." And the BBC, not being stupid, did. And recorded the coppers, and then worked out that they were the same family that had been the core of the founding of the English, what had become EFTAS by that point. And the coppers went out and they paid Bob to go and collect songs around Sussex and Hampshire. There's a wonderful book called Songs and Southern Breezes, which lots of chat about, you know, going out and basically buying lots of beer for people and getting a song a verse, getting a song a pint and all that kind of stuff. And he was an amazing man. And they have this astonishing repertoire. But the thing that we kind of call Cecil a collector, but the generations of the Copper family that assembled, because they wrote them all down in a book, that assembled that collection of songs were themselves collectors.
Yeah.
People who, you know, Cecilia Costello was a song collector.
Yes.
But she didn't publish them, she sang them.
Well, I suppose the difference with someone like Cecilia Costello is that she didn't know that she was doing it in any kind of academic way. She was working in the workhouse.
I don't think that makes a difference.
Well, I would see it almost as though you've got a song collector who is specifically going out to collect songs, and a song sponge who was somebody like Celia Costello who was just sucking it all in.
But those people go out looking for songs. You know,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Some of them might have been. I mean, I think what I know about Cecilia Costello is that she worked in the workhouse, and she wasn't an inmate in the workhouse.
No.
She worked in the workhouse and soaked in the songs because she was a child, and so she had all these songs mainly from her childhood. And from what I recall, and I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but what I recall is that she largely didn't sing for a lot of her life, and it was only when the collectors came around that she was amazed to find that people were interested in her old songs.
Well, I mean, the song that I want to talk to you on the old songs about is actually a song written by Bob Copper as a poem in 1948, when he was pretty confident that he and Ron were the only people in the world still singing this material. Because nobody wanted to hear it at the Peacehaven Club where he was his regular pub and stuff like that. And then
Do you have a favourite? Sorry, go ahead.
And then Pete Bellamy put a tune to it. Pete Bellamy being another important singer from the revival. We'll probably talk about more.
Do you have a favourite Copper family song?
Probably Shepherds Arise. I think it's wonderful.
Can you do it?
The carol. I'm not going to do it because it really is a two-part song. One of the things I like about it, the thing that made the Coppers special, although it seems less special now when folk style for people singing together is we sing harmonies. But at the time, people sang either solo or in unison, and the Coppers sang with harmony, kind of churchy kind of harmonies. And Shepherds Arise is one where the harmony and the part singing is really lovely. So I'm not gonna sing it as a solo piece because it's a great song to lead when everyone in the audience knows it because you get the call and response thing going and it's fabulous.
One day.
yeah, one day when we're all back in the pub.
Shall I play a song? This isn't a Copper family song. This is a song that I've been working out recently that I found on an old collection of recordings by a chap called George Dunn. George Dunn was from Staffordshire, so another Midlands singer, and he was somebody who was collected. In fact, here he is. He's sitting right in front of me. There he is. There's George Dunn, nice old fella. He was a chain maker.
That is a really important record label. Show that again. People in the audience, if you are at all interested in traditional songs and traditional singers, people like George Dunn, people like the Smith family, and all sorts of fabulous stuff. Rod Stradling has put together has a record label called Musical Traditions, and their collection of material is amazing. If you want to listen to the old boys we got these songs from, that's the place to go, and the old women.
Yeah. George Dunn, he was a chain maker from Staffordshire, and he learnt his songs. Well, learnt many of his songs from his father, who learnt many of his songs from his father. And so it's what I love about George Dunn is that a lot of these songs, I mean, a lot of the songs that he sung were musical songs because he was one of those people who people came to knowing that he knew the old songs. So if he was in the pub, he would be asked to sing.
Yeah.
And there's lovely stories of him clearly having quite a cheeky sense of humour, going up into the hills near where he lived, and he did a great mimic of bird call, and he used to play tricks with the bird call so that people would go up and say, have you heard those amazing songs, those birds up in the hills? And people would go and listen to them, and it's just him hiding in the bushes. This is a song that I've just found on that CD that I've just held up, and I've not played it to anybody yet, apart from I sent a little recording to my friend Jackie, and my family have heard it endlessly. It's called The Little Grey Oss. It goes like this. Oft times I've travelled the North Country, hoping to find good company. Good company I always would find, but none was pleasing to my mind with my fal-de-dal-lay. Fal-de-dal-lay, I had in my pocket just 1 penny. Saddled my horse and away I did ride, till I came to an alehouse beside the roadside. I called for a pint of good ale that was brown, and along with it I took myself and sat down with my fal-de-dal-lee. Fal-de-dal-lee, I had in my pocket now no money. I saw three gentlemen playing at dice. I took them as being some noble knights, as they were a-playing and I looking on. They took me as being a nobleman with my fal-de-dal-lee. Fal-de-dal-lee, I had in my pocket still no money. They asked me if I would play. I asked them what bets they would lay, and they says a guinea and I says £5. The bets they were laid but no money put down with my fal-de-dal-lee. Fal-de-dal-lee, I had in my pocket no money. I handled the dice and I gave them a spin, and it happened to be my good luck for the win. Now if they had have won and I had have lost, I should have pawned my little grey horse with my fal-de-dal-lee. Fal-de-dal-lee, now I had in my pocket now £5.3. Was ever a mortal man more glad than me with myself and the money I had? Now I'm a good fellow, as you shall find, and I'll make you all drunk with the drinking of wine and my fal-de-dal-lee. Fal-de-dal-lee, the pound in my pocket I'll share with thee. I stayed there all night and part of the next day, till I thought myself I'll be on my way. I asked the landlady what I should pay. She says, nothing, love, kiss me and go on your way with your fal-de-dal-lee. Fal-de-dal-lee, was ever a richer man glad than me? Thank you very much.
Lovely song.
Fal-de-dal-lee.
That's gorgeous.
I was singing that to my daughter the other day. We were walking home from the train station, and I just started singing it, and she was listening to it, and she asked a very good question. What is your fal-de-dal-lee?
Nobody knows. Yes. Those nonsense syllables. The thing is, if you don't sing them, you occasionally hear Bellowhead did a cover version of did a version of cover version. Fucking hell. Did a version of Let Union Be in on the Bellowhead, important band in the revival, 24-legged groove machine, and they did
Go on, Piers.
Let Union Be, and Let Union Be's got the most glorious nonsense chorus. Come, my lads, let us be jolly, drive away all melancholy, for to grieve it is a folly. When we're met together, let union be in all our hearts. Let all our hearts be joined as one. We'll end the day as we begun. We'll end it all in pleasure. And they stop there. and they miss. Rock, falla, rolla, roll to Lido. Rock, falla, rolla, rolla to Lido. Rock, falla, rolla, rolla to Lido. When we're met together. How can you resist that song? How can you resist
were they right or wrong to leave that out?
I think they were terribly wrong. I think it's a
the
terrible
enjoyment
loss.
on your face as you got into those whack walla wallas.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And it's that they're absolutely stupid, but delightful.
I've told this story before, but when I was getting into traditional music and I was hanging out a little bit with my friend Nick Hart, I asked him about folderols. I just wasn't comfortable with them, and he basically sort of said to me, John, at a certain point, you've got to make a decision. Yes. Are you folderol or are you not folderol? and then you got to lie in the bed that you make. And I just started, that bed. I put a few folderols into that bed, and that's where I lie. So.
Fred in the chat has just pointed out it's like doing the boxer without doing lie la lie,
yeah,
lie la lie 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 la lie.
That is a really good point. I mean, lie to lie. Like, nobody questions that.
No.
So, I think Hannah's question about what is a folderol, what is his folderol, because it clearly gets him through a whole lot of bad luck there.
Well, folderols.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Are ladies' small clothing and fancy items.
Is that right?
Yeah. If you go and look it up in the OED, I remember reading this in the OED once. Because the OED is an amazing resource to just sort of follow. You know how when you're doing Wikipedia, there's the game of Wikipedia. You just see how many clicks it takes you to get from any random article to philosophy. But the OED is another of these resources that you start reading it and it's like, oh Christ, what's that? And then before you know it, you're and it's of course all online, free with a library card. So it's an amazing time sink if you're that way inclined.
Speaking of amazing time sinks, we're coming to 2 hours on this.
Absolutely.
How long does it tend to go on for? Not that I'm bored, but I'm just interested.
Until we either get bored or run out of voice, I think.
Right. So that could be like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I tend to aim to stop around 11 because I would quite like to get some sleep and possibly something to eat.
Okay. Well, let's have a look. I've got my phone up. I'm having a look at some of the people who are chattering away. Quite a lot of it is you, Piers. And then Fred Langridge, as you said, is like, yes, that's very true. Stephen Field, Itchy Beard John. Now, Stephen Field and I went to school together. He's another Brummie. So he just sort of rocked up, probably a little bit tipsy, if I know Stephen Field. Yeah, hi, Steve. There you go. There's an itchy beard for you. Piers, give him an itchy beard. There you go. The thing is that Steve can't grow a beard. So.
Ah, right. I'm avoiding this particular range of insult. Hey, Em again. Do you have Ramble Away in your repertoire, by the way?
I have never learnt Ramble Away. It is in lots and lots of, because it makes reference to Birmingham, so
yes.
it's kind of an obvious one.
Yeah.
But I've yet to find a version that really interests me, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I just like the tune. It's possibly I just like Pete Morton singing it. I mean, it's entirely possible.
Oh, look, Gloria Rahija. She commented earlier that I got her name vaguely right, so I'm going to stick with that. That was the most beautiful version of The Cruel Mother I've ever heard.
It was
Gloria, I like you. Thank you for saying that.
She's not wrong. It was gorgeous.
Thank you. It's it will be on the next album if I can ever get round to. I've been talking about the next album for 18 months now. So
you see, I have the advantage on you of this as being an unaccompanied singer. I've not yet recorded next Bandcamp Friday's album.
Well, so you're planning to put out an album every month? Is that it from here on?
Well, if I can get away with it. It might be EPs from now on, but embrace the folderol. Yeah,
absolutely, Marion. Embrace the folderol.
So
the folderol,
or
depending on where you're from.
Yes, I'm just trying to work out if I remember a particular song that is spectacular. Because usually the folderoles are sort of extraneous to the song. So you could, if you wanted to, get rid of them. But
Well,
then...
That's the interesting thing about that song that I've just sung. So folderols, to me, are quite often they're almost like a chorus without words. It's just something that everybody can tune in, sing along to. In that song that I just sung, I love it because the folderol is clearly something that he's got in his it's something about him. It's part of his personality. It's more than just a sort of random set of noises. So if he didn't have his folderol Lee, he wouldn't have entered into that pub. He wouldn't have entered into the bet. He wouldn't have won money. He wouldn't have got a kiss from the barmaid. It's all because of his folderol Lee. So
hang on a minute. I'm going to have to do it, but I'm going to have to give myself some confidence.
Cheating?
With. I'm going to cheat, because I actually know it, but it's not. You know how you got? I don't know. You have this bit with. You have the same sort of thing. I've got songs in my repertoire and songs in my working repertoire.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
And I've learned this once. Hang on a minute.
I mean, I guess while you're having a think about that, I'm looking at the people who are online, and we've got on YouTube still got 13 people still staggering away there in the background. They must be tired out. Please, by all means, communicate with us. If we're here for another hour, by the sounds of things, do chat to us. Tell us what you'd like to hear. Tell us what you'd like to chat about. Join in. Yep.
Yes,
and remember to pay Piers money.
Yeah, that link down there-ish.
The coffee pot.
The coffee link. That will be. We will be any donations gratefully received. Hi, Denise. Lovely to see you. Denise is a friend of mine from the States, living in. I want to say Sligo, but I'm pretty sure I'm wrong.
She'll tell us. I'm
West
sure.
of
Tell
Ireland,
us where you are, Denise. Sorry to be late. But
Donovan.
Wow. Okay.
Was he good?
I didn't know he was still alive, to be honest.
Yeah. No. He won a lifetime achievement award at the Folk Awards a few years back. But,
I've just seen.
Yes, of course, Ireland is less constrained than we are.
I've just seen Em has asked me to deviate for English folk and sing something in Japanese, which is
I would
quite a
be
challenge.
delighted to hear it.
Can I? I don't know if I can remember the words. I'll see. I'll have a think about that, Em. I'd love to say yes, but I might make a fool of myself. So
yes. Well, I'm sure you won't make a fool of yourself. You just might forget the words.
I don't
That's
mind making
not
a
making
fool of myself in
yourself.
English. I don't want to make a fool of myself for all the Japanese fans who are out there.
Who are thinking, why hasn't he sung the Wassail song yet?
That's Indonesia.
Oh, right, of course, yes. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm afraid Donovan probably was old. I think that's just in the nature of it.
Yeah.
Denise is my favourite person in the world because she's the person that gave me the tickets to go and see Richard Thompson's 70th birthday party.
Oh, lovely.
Birthday concert. And
good for you.
She was stuck up in Shetland and couldn't use them. So the joys of e-tickets came into the fore there.
So you travelled down from Yorkshire just to go see... I say just... That's no small thing to go and see.
There's no just about that particular concert.
Absolutely.
It was glorious, but it was worth it for Eliza Carthy singing the Great Valerio unaccompanied in the middle of the Albert Hall. Bloody hell. But anyway, yes, this is John Hamilton, and this is another. This is one of these ones where the nonsense is actually integral to the song rather than being just nonsense. I mean, it's still nonsense, but
go on then.
From Martin Carthy.
We're not going there again.
No intermediaries there.
I'm going to mute myself and let you get on with it.
John Hamilton wagered a wager for 100 guineas and 10 that he would go down London City and never speak aught but sing. So he sang tay-I-addle-tee, tan. So he sang eaty-fi-addle-tee, tay-I-addle-tee, tan. Policeman came running and shouting, a madman's coming along. Soon we shall see who he is and we'll soon put an end to his song. And still he sang tay-I-addle-tee, tan. Still he sang eaty-fi-addle-tee, tay-I-addle-tee, tan. They took him before the justice to see who he could be. Still he sang E.T.Fi. Addlety on with his singing whinny. They brought him some pen and some paper to see if he could write. Still he sang E.T.Fi. Addlety on with his singing all night. Yes, he sang Tay-I Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan. Still he sang E.T.Fi. Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan. Come running the justice's daughter, a beautiful woman was she. Saw John Hamilton singing and on him she cast her eye. Daddy, go open the chamber and let the young gentleman in. See that you use him genteelly and give him a bottle of wine. Still he sang Tay-I Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan. Still he sang E.T.Fi. Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan. John Hamilton put his hand in his pocket, he made all the shillings to fly. Give a gold ring to the lady and on with his singing went he. Still he sang Tay-I Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan. Still he sang E.T.Fi. Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan. John Hamilton won him a wager 400 guineas and 10. Went home with the justice's daughter and that put an end to his song. She loved him for crackling his fingers, she loved him for singing a song. Loved him for E.T.Fi. Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan. Still they sang Tay-I Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan. Still they sang E.T.Fi. Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan. Oh yes, they sang Tay-I Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan. Yes, they sang E.T.Fi. Addlety, Tay-I Addlety tan.
Gorgeous.
Isn't that glorious nonsense?
I just love the way that it continues to keep rolling and rolling and rolling.
Yeah, where the hell am I taking a breath is often the problem with it.
Yeah. Yeah. What can I do?
While you're trying to remember Torianse.
I don't think I'm going to manage Torianse. Torianse is a beautiful traditional song from Japan. Torianse, Torianse. Oh, no, I can't even get beyond the second line at the moment. It's one of those ones. I did learn it, and it is on my YouTube channel, and actually it's on my Spotify channel as well. And I learned it, and I played it a bit, and I played it with my son actually, which was lovely.
Oh wow, yeah.
My son being half Japanese, and a brilliant musician himself, better than me, and he sung it, and I played it, and it was quite a lovely moment. I'm going to have to say no.
There was the request for Shallow Brown, by the way, John.
There was a question for Shallow Brown. Shallow Brown's another one that I've not done in a while.
I'm just saying thank you very much to the donation to Vicky as well. Very kind.
Thank you, Vicky. Let's see. This is a vast song, but it's a silly song. Seeing as a really silly song.
I'm going to run and top up, but I am still listening to you because wireless stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I can reach the notes. This is called How 5 and 20 Shillings Were Expended in a Week. It's one of those really catchy song titles that come off broadsides. The song is, I think it's quite late 1800s, and it's from Birmingham, certainly. It's a great song in which it sounds like it's basically we're eavesdropping again on a couple who are having a bit of an argument, and she's complaining about how he spends all the money, and he's sort of going, no, I don't. And then she does that thing in the, when you have an argument with somebody, especially with your beloved, or anybody really, when you kind of wish afterwards that you had had the witty comeback ready to be said. She's got it all. Not only has she got the witty comeback, she has got a full itinerary of where he's wasted all the money. So that goes like this. It's of a tradesman and his wife, I heard the other day. They did kick up a glorious row and lived across the way. Well, the husband proved himself a fool, his money all was spent, and he's called upon his wife, my life, to know which way it went. So she's reckoned up and she showed him all complete, how 25 shillings was expended in a week. He says my wages are all gone and it does me perplex. Indeed, she says, then list to me, my bonny cock of wax. Continually you make a noise and you fill the house with strife, and I'll tell you where your money goes, I will upon my life. So she's reckoned up and she showed him all complete, how 25 shillings was expended in a week. There's 2 and 3 house rent, now attend to me, she said, and there's 4 shillings goes for meat and 3 and 9 bread, and to wash your nasty dirty shirt there's 6 halfpenny soap, and there's 1 and 8 coals, old boy, and 10 wood and coke. There's 4 there for milk and cream, and 1 and 2 malt, 3 halfpenny for vinegar, and a penny goes on salt. Yes, a penny goes for mustard, 3 halfpence goes for thread, and you gave me 3 the other night for half an old sheep's head. So she's reckoned up and she showed him all complete, how 25 shillings was expended in a week. There's a red herring each morning, is 5 for the week, and sometimes you send me out for fish, you say you can't eat meat. Last Monday night when you got drunk, there's 9 went for capers, there's a penny box of congreaves and a halfpenny baked potatoes. There's a penny goes for pepper too, as you must understand, and 2 halfpenny starch and blue, and a farthing's worth of sand, and 4 halfpenny candles, 3 farthings goes on matches, and a penny's worth of corduroy. Well, I had to mend your breeches. So she's reckoned up and she showed him all complete, how 25 shillings was expended in a week. There's a shilling tatties, herbs and greens, and 7 farthing swipes. There's 3 halfpenny snuff, old boy, and 2 halfpenny tripes, and a penny well you owed for strings are at the cobbler's shop. And you know last Sunday morning, well, you bought a pint of pop. There's a shilling tatties, herbs and greens, 10 pence on butter see, 6 coffee, 8 sugar, 1 and 4 tea. There's 2 goes for this thing, and a penny goes on t'other, and last night you broke the chamber pot, I had to buy another. So she's reckoned up and she showed him all complete, how 25 shillings was expended in a week. We're almost there. There's 2 goes for blacking, and there's 8 halfpenny cheese, 3 farthing rushlight every night to watch the bugs and fleas. And while each night to a public house you go to drink and sing, well, I hit the tavern across the way to have a drop of gin. So reckon up again, old boy, and you will find complete, how 25 shillings was expended in a week.
That is a glorious song. An absolute feat of memory, John. Oh, right.
I cheated. I know the trouble is I can only ever play that song in this kind of setting because I have tried.
Well,
the thing is that you could quite easily just change all the prices and nobody would really notice. But I know the folk audience, and I know somebody's going to turn up.
Someone will be
at the merch desk
there going.
It happens. It happens. You get people come up to you at the merch desk and they go, "I really liked your version of when first I came to Caledonia But you got verses 5 and 6 the wrong way round.
Wrong way round, yeah.
So,
My wife once, while singing Little Musgrave, sang, "Is not your horse upon its perch? Your hawk is eating hay."
I mean,
And nobody noticed, except her. In the middle of a long ballad, you could often get...
Jim
Sorry?
Murray was telling me Jim Murray was telling me the other day that he used to sneak the names Sam Sweeney and John Bowden into songs live just to see if anybody would notice. Sam Sweeney and John Bowden are?
Sam Sweeney and John Bowden are most famous for appearing in the underground in the film About Time, singing a song by Mike Scott of the Waterboys.
Well,
That's how they're mostly known.
Did you know that Sam Sweeney...
Probably in the wider world, that is probably how they're mostly known, if they're known at all.
Well, did you know that Jim Murray and Sam Sweeney were once in an offshoot of Doctor Who?
No.
So that is out there as well.
Oh God, yes, they were in the thing set in Coal Hill about the teenagers. Yes, I didn't spot it was Jim Murray. I did spot that it was Sam.
There you go.
I have actually seen it. It was on BBC Three, and it was very good.
Sam Sweeney is a genius fiddle player for anybody who doesn't know, and Jim Murray is an extraordinary folk musician and producer who takes traditional music into all sorts of weird and wonderful ways.
Very
Although
clever
I
what he does.
particularly love his latest album where he doesn't do that and he strips it right down and sings the most gorgeous version of "Leaving of Liverpool" that I've ever heard.
Well, that's one of those songs that nobody bothers to sing because it's so hackneyed. We all sang it in school.
Yeah,
in theory,
it's a fascinating story.
But
Go and listen to the Old Songs podcast.
It's a
the
belting
story behind
song.
it is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow night you got Christy Moore, Denise. Wow, you're getting proper concerts in Ireland. I'm very jealous.
So I'm just having a little look at these YouTube comments. I'm presuming most of these comments are coming through on YouTube now. That's where I'm seeing them on my phone. So let me just spin back. The only song I know in Japanese is Mia Sama, on no mae ni from the Mikado. Ah, you fooled me there. I just thought I was trying to work out real Japanese. And then following that, a real Japanese person asks for Hannah's song, which is a song that I once wrote for my daughter. We'll see.
That would be lovely.
Raise the Roof says clap, clap, clap.
That's Vicky, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, thanks, Vicky. Stephen Field, Sounds Like My Life. What does? The song about the 5 and 20 shillings. Yeah, well, quite possibly. Those missing shillings went on investments for the family, I swear. As for the breaches. Very good, very good. Yeah, speaking of Little Musgrave, tomorrow's night. Yes, Christy Moore. Wow,
yeah. Anyway,
your turn.
My turn. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna flex the feat of memory thing here because this is one I actually do know all the way through.
That sounds like this is going to be epic.
It's only got 5 verses.
How old is it? Is it a ballad?
70s or 80s.
70s or 80s?
It was written in the 70s or 80s. I'm not quite sure when.
Oh, so not terribly old then. It's not like
No.
several hundred. This is not Tamlin, is it?
No, it's not Tamlin. I'm not doing Tamlin again. I've done it. I think I've done Tamlin for the last 3 of these, so I'm leaving it alone at the moment.
So, but that's what I associate you with is the really old songs. You know the really old ballads like Tamlin, which almost have no date attached to them because they're so old. And so now you're going to sing a song from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
It better be.
I'm allowed. Panic on the streets of London.
Away you go. Away you go. I'm going to mute myself and wonder where it all went wrong.
Yeah. Marion's worked out that you're 2 3 farthings short, by the way. But then again, she didn't say how much the gin cost, Marion, so she's probably all right. I was 18 when me dad first took me to a pub, and I've never ever seen him quite so mad. A pint of the usual, sir, the barman said, but he was asking me, not dad. Well, if surfeited the appetite will sicken and so die, I'll not long have a boozer for a son. They say there's 27 pubs from here to Udsell Top, And tonight you'll have a pint in every one. We kicked off in the Majestic. Little Alec kicked us out when Dad said he was scared what he might catch. We didn't mean to set on fire the White Swan and the Devonshire, but Dad was always careless with his match. As the odd fellas knew we'd been, we caused a riot in the Queen, and I was right, Dad said then. We should have had a nip in the Blue Lion and the Griffin, so we'll have to go back down and start again. We should have had a nip in the Blue Lion and the Griffin, so we'll go back down and do the mansh again. Well, we thought we'd make a start with a quiet game of darts before we'd gone a bit too far, but we were slinging arrows in the Albany Snug, and the board was in the public bar. There were arrows in the ceiling, there were arrows in the wall, there were arrows in the barmaid's thigh, till a very ugly landlord with a very ugly club suggested we should both go forth and multiply. Broken glasses they were counting as we slipped out of the fountain, and the tall bar crowd was still in hot pursuit. In the fighting father all but killed the landlord of the Talbot when the silly bugger criticised his suit. And we were walking on our knees by the time we reached the Fleece, and I was right till Dad said then, like it lad or lumpet, we have missed the horse and trumpet, so we'll have to go back down and start again. We should have had a nip in the Blue Lion and the Griffin, like it lad or lumpet, we have missed the horse and trumpet, so we'll go back down and do the mansh again. Well, it's then we chanced to meet a young lady of the street, and Lord, but she'd some lovely wares to sell. Unfortunately, Dad was somewhat sick upon her dog. After 14 pints he wasn't feeling well. As he searched for his teeth he found the dog underneath, jumped back and knocked the poor woman flat. Have had pints, peas, pork pies and pickled eggs tonight, but I can't remember eating that. Well, the station and the junction then both showed us no compunction as they threw us in the street upon our ears. We had all sorts of hell on in the Newen and the Nelson, and we had the Wickham landlord close to tears. As newts, we were pissed as we staggered into Listers, and I was right till Dad said then, trouble now our courses, we forgot wagon and horses, so we'll go back down and do the manship. We'll have to go back down and start again. We should have had a nip in the Blue Lion and the Griffin, like it lad or lumpet, we had missed horse and trumpet, trouble now our courses, we forgot wagon and horses, so we'll go back down and do the mansh again. Well then, Dad pinched a bulldozer so we could ride in style. He flattened 3 police cars straight away. His driving wasn't polished, and in no time he demolished Hong Kong Harry's corner Chinese takeaway. As the Chinese chopper chased us up to Cello Street, his nearness to me necktie wasn't nice. As me breath began to steady, I said you were mad enough already. Did you have to order curried cat and rice? We had Websters, we had Whitbreads, we had Hammonds, we had Hayes, we had John Smith and Sam Smith too. We were right bloody gluttons on some OBJ by Duttons and Bass, both red and blue. We had Eindkoop and Allsops and some Ramsdens that was all slops, and I was right till Dad said then, we've missed out all the Bentleys, we've not had a drop of Tetleys, so we'll have to go back down and start again. We should have had a nip in the Blue Lion and the Griffin, like it lad or lumpet, we had missed horse and trumpet, trouble now of courses, we forgot wagon and horses, we've missed out all the Bentleys, we've not had a drop of Tetleys, so we'll go back down and do the mansh again. Well, the police with a van cleared the Yorkshire divan, the landlord and his wife and kids as well. The Foresters was quiet, there was not a sign of riot. The customers were all inside the cell. There were specials running up the street and firemen running down. Troops and tanks were standing by at Odsal Top. Some nuns who came to pray for peace just stayed to sober up the priest who got so drunk he tried to kiss a cop. Well, there was still a hue and cry, and both the Woodman and Red Lion and the Craven if I tried to bar the door. We thought we might get drunk if we had another in the trunkliff, so we thought we'd better have one to be sure. As we fell through the doors on all fours at Merry Shores, I was right till Dad said then, you can have a little rest, now you're halfway through the test, then we'll have to go back down and start again. We should have had a nip in the Blue Lion and the Griffin, like it lad or lumpet, we had missed horse and trumpet, trouble now of courses, we forgot wagon and horses, we missed out all the Bentleys, we've not had a drop of Tetleys, you can have a little rest, now you're halfway through the test, then we'll go back down and do the mansh again. Doing
and
the mansh.
If that is not worth getting your PayPal out and putting some money in Piers's tip jar, that was extraordinary. Was that mostly memory?
Yeah,
all memory.
All memory. Yeah. That's the only way you can sing that at that speed.
Yeah, that was impressive. That was superb. Have you ever heard Lankham doing the what is it? The Irish Jubilee.
No,
That's
no.
it, Dublin Jubilee, Irish Jubilee. It's really similar to that. Only it's
All
two
right.
voices harmonising all the way through.
Oh yeah. This is by Keith Marsden. Keith was the primary songwriter for a band called Cockersdale. And he died in '89, I want to say. Amazing songwriter. He also wrote No man that's a drinker takes ale from a pin, for there is too little good stuff there within. For under enough is its measure and full, too small for a sup, not enough for a pull. So bring us a barrel and set it upright. Bring us a barrel to last out the night. Bring us a barrel, no matter how high. We'll drink it up, lads, we'll drink it dry. And Cockersdale were a 3-part, possibly 4-part, can't remember, harmony group, and they did stuff like the Manch at that kind of pace. Absolutely, with the most amazing tight blend. It was just a thing of beauty to hear them. But yeah, they were great. Is that the first time you've heard that?
Yes, impressive.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't know how to follow it, but
I love being able to introduce someone to a song like that, because that's a bit for singers of my generation. That's a bit Wild Rover.
yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
The Wild Rover being an incredibly popular song that got sung to death. And
but not nearly as
little
impressive
like
as that. I mean, the Wild Rover everybody knows because it's sung everywhere. But nobody
doing
did
the
what
Manch,
you've just done.
it's generally everybody knows of doing the Manch. Or but
I
it's
bet
always-
very few can.
you're
Don't
probably
get
right.
humble on me, Piers. That was impressive.
No, I'm not. No, yeah, that is absolutely. This is me definitely showing off. I used to do.
Good.
I used to do. When I used to do technical conferences, they had this format called Ignite, where basically you get 20 slides in 5 minutes. And I got that song down where I could sing it in 5 minutes, thereabout, dead on. With a small amount of introduction, I could get it. So I just walked on stage with my iPhone and a countdown timer of 5 minutes, hit the 5-minute timer, gave it a short introduction and started singing, and could usually nail it so that as the timer got to 0, I got to the end of the song. And the slides I had 20 black slides. It was just... So
Brilliant.
yeah, I definitely show off with that song. It's just... How else do you do it? You can't.
Yeah, very, very hard to follow. But I know a song, and a peculiar song, and if you would listen, it won't take me long. The rhyme's very pretty, I'm sure you'll agree, but no doubt you'll all sing this chorus with me. Holly ho, holly ho, folder whack, foldle doodle da day. We're back in the folderols country. Well, I says to my sweetheart the other day, what dost thou want for thou's birthday? She answered me diamonds, so straight there and then I gave her the ace, the king, queen, jack and 10. Holly ho,
Holly ho,
holly ho,
holly ho,
folder whack, foldle doodle da day. Well, the lady chain makers, they've all gone on strike, 'cause the owners, they think they can pay what they like. They works them so hard, both night and by day, and for it, they gives them such terrible pay. Holly-o,
holly ho, holly ho,
fold the whack, fold the day.
Oh, I'll find a harmony next time.
Well, me and Phil Drabble, we're all right, you see, 'cause me and Phil Drabble goes out on the spree, and whether we win or whether we lose, Phil's always ready with a good drop of booze. Holly ho,
Holly ho,
holly
holly
ho,
ho,
fall the whack,
diddle,
fall
the diddle all
day.
day.
Well, I dreamt that I died and to heaven did go. Where dost thou come from? They wanted to know. Well, I says I comes from Cradley, and how did they stare? They says, you better come in, John, you's the first bloke from there. Holly ho,
holly ho,
holly ho,
ho,
fall the whack, fall
the diddle all
day.
day.
To market with my Uncle Jim, when somebody threw some tomatoes at him. Well, tomatoes are soft and they don't bruise the skin, but that's not the case if they're still in the tin. Holly ho,
holly ho,
holly
holly
ho,
ho,
fall the whack, fall
the diddle all day.
Holly ho,
Holly ho,
holly
holly
ho,
ho,
fall the whack, fall
the diddle all
day.
Yes, that is a great song, John.
In it.
I was singing along and inflicting it on the audience, so you've got harmonies on the video. It's one of the things I do like. You can do that.
Is that what you were doing? So I, didn't
had
hear
you
the
muted
harmonies.
on
They would
Zoom.
have thrown me all out.
Absolutely. So I muted you on Zoom and I was singing along.
okay.
I've done it on a couple of them, so you
What
know
have we
you're
got
gonna
here?
you're
We've
gonna have to
got
watch the
chatting.
playback.
I will have to. So, yeah, nobody was interested in that song. You see,
No.
basically it all died after you did the manse, so I don't know what else. You need to hold that song till the very end, Piers. I mean, the night's over now, pretty much, for all intents and purposes.
There are still 16 people on YouTube watching, so you know it's
Yeah, but they're all waiting for something to top the manse, and nothing's gonna, is it? It's all downhill from here. What have you done, Piers?
right. Okay, I can if we're now into the comic songs or the smut, I think it's probably our best chances for improving on thing. This is not smut.
Is it
Ever so
comedy?
slightly comedy misogyny,
Oh, okay.
but it's too fucking clever not to sing it.
Go on. What is it?
This is well, I'm not going to tell you because the title's. I'll tell you the title after it's done because it's got a punchline in the first verse. So
Got it.
anyway, it's by my mate Chris Manners, who, if I can convince him to come on here, that'd be brilliant because he's a brilliant songwriter, resident at Ryburn Three Step, and writes fantastic songs.
Go for it. Ooh.
I've just forgotten the first line.
I'm going to mute myself. Or should I just keep talking while you think?
Keep talking while I try and remember the first line.
Or shall I try and guess the first line out of all of the possible 250,000 folk songs that could be?
And it's a written song, so it's not going to help. You don't
Guess
know
the
it.
first line with John and Piers.
Yeah.
It's bound to be as I walked out one sunny May morning. As I roved out? You've either walked or roved. Got to be one or the other.
I've forgotten literally the first two words of the first line. I've got the rest of it.
Are the first words important?
Well, got it.
Go on. I'm muting.
Come, people, give attention to a man so deep in love with a creature who's the vision of an angel from above. Her hair cascades in ringlets and her eyes are dark and bright. But I don't know what she looks like from the back or from the right. Her arms are long and slender, her shoulders straight and square. Her ears like little seashells peek through foaming waves of air. I've gazed upon her loveliness until I'm overwrought, and a tracksuit looks that good on her. I'm going to take up sport, for she's fine, oh, she's fine. In a sweatshirt red as wine, she's the girl in the Land's End mail order clothing catalogue, and I wish that she was mine. Feel free to join in on the chorus, but do please mute, John. Each sleepless night till daybreak, oh, I wonder who she is. The daughter of a marquis or a rich philanthropist, a great unpublished novelist, a hard-up PhD, and I wonder if she'd contemplate a fella such as me, for she's fine, oh, she's fine, in a sweatshirt red as wine. She's the girl in the Land's End mail order clothing catalogue, and I wish that she was mine. An horrible thought then strikes me. What if she wears a wig? Has rampant halitosis, or she snores just like a pig? Has a husband who's a boxer, or a heart as hard as flint? Or she has to move those lovely lips to read a line of print. But she's fine, oh, she's fine, in a sweatshirt red as wine. She's the girl in the Land's End mail order clothing catalogue, and I wish that she was mine. Well, I must resolve this mystery, and there is no other way. So I'll take out me Barclay card and order her today. Please rush, deliver soonest, and I pray your powers that be. We will never need her money back, no quibbles guarantee. For she's fine, oh, she's fine, in a sweatshirt red as wine. She's the girl in the Land's End mail order clothing catalogue, and I wish that she was mine. How I long to make her mine, how I burn to make her mine. You're muted now.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
There we go then.
You weren't muted through the song, so I heard some of your reactions.
Oh dear. I've got to that stage in life where I'm forgetting to mute.
No, I was just thinking about Holly Ho. It's great because it's such an easy structure. You can pretty much put any joke in there you like, can't you?
Holly Ho, yes, and there's in the middle of it, Phil Drabble turns up, and some
Yeah.
people will remember Phil Drabble if they're old enough because he was the front man for One Man and His Dog.
Yeah,
Something
and
like
many
90
other things.
Yeah, he was, but he also wrote a lot about Black Country history.
Yeah,
And there's a great little section of a book that I've got. It's a book that's got a really dull title. It's something like the History of the Black Country. He wrote books with much better titles. I still haven't found a copy. Must find a copy of Weasels in My Meat Safe, which I think is probably the best book title. But
Weasels in My Meat Safe told the tale on me.
Anyway, not Weasels in My Meat Safe, but in the History of the Black Country, he describes going to this pub called the Cross Guns, where they would sing songs regularly, and that song is a song that people would bring new verses for every week. So
Yes.
there are potentially millions of verses to that song. But I love the fact that he turns up in it in the collected version, that they managed to get Phil Drabble in there. It's not the most exciting verse, but he does get in there.
I mean, as a tribute to Jim, I'd have thought, you put Doug Oates in there. Actually, no, he doesn't scan. He'd have to be Jim Murray.
Jim Murray. Well, I suppose he's from Stafford, isn't he? So he would fit. So
yeah. But if he's smuggling Sam Sweeney, you can smuggle Jim
Oates or even Jackie Oates.
Yeah.
All the Oateses, we get them all in there. I don't know where to go after all of this.
I think I'm reaching that point where I've got maybe one or two songs left in me. So I think pick your closing song, mate.
Pick my closing song.
Yeah.
Right, I shall sing a grim song.
Yay!
A big old dirty old song, and I hope that I'm not waking anybody up with it.
Right, I have to run and go and
Run away.
do a thing. I'll be as quick as I can, but you might have to busk after you've finished. Yeah, I'll be back with you all soon.
Are you all still there? just finding my way in. Haven't played it in a while. I'm going to go up a little. Go up a little. This is called There Was an Old Man Came Over the Sea, and it's on my midlife album. It's a great song. It was collected in Rugby, and the story goes is that the man who collected it went down there, and there was a load of people, and they were doing mumming, and they were doing all these sort of old traditions, and people singing lovely old songs, and they got round to this one guy. And I always imagine this one guy to have been slightly socially awkward, because when he was asked to sing a song, he sang this song which is all about prostitution and nastiness. Happy Christmas, Christmassy feelings. And there was an old man came over the sea. Yeah, but I'll not have him. Well, there was an old man came over the sea. He came over the sea to marry me. With his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle shaking. Mama told me to open the door. Yeah, but I'll not have him. Well, my mama told me to open the door. And I opened the door. He fell on the floor. With his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle shaking. My mama told me to get him a chair. Oh yeah, but I'll not have him. Well, my mama told me to get him a chair. And I got him a chair, and he sat like a bear. With his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle shaking. My mama told me to get him some toast. Oh yeah, but I'll not have him. My mama told me to get him some toast. And I got him some toast, and he ate like a ghost. With his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle shaking. Mama told me to take him to church. Oh yeah, but I'll not have him. Well, my mama told me to take him to church. And I took him to church, and he fell off his perch. With his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle shaking. Here he is with his old grey noddle. My mama told me to take him to bed. Oh yeah, but I'll not have him. Well, my mama told me to take him to bed. So I took him to bed, and in the morning he was dead. With his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle shaking. With his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle, his old grey noddle shaking.
Wow. Loved that.
Love that.
Loved it.
Yeah, it's a good one, that.
I'm afraid I lost a bit of it because I managed to drop my body pack down the loo.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. I don't even know what that means.
Well, I went to the toilet.
Once
And
again,
then-
I don't know what to do with that.
The gadget that wirelessly receives my headphone signal, I lost a grip of it and it got a bit wet. Thankfully, I have a spare.
Yeah. Well, there we go. I think I might be done with my repertoire for the evening. What are you going to finish on?
I'm not entirely sure just yet. Hold on a minute. This body pack doesn't sound as good as the other one.
Well, we can still hear you, whether you've got your body packed or not.
No. It's for hearing you. It doesn't sound as clean as it. Maybe that explains why. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I can hear you. I can make you out. It doesn't sound as great, but
It's just that your body pack's not as clean as it should be. I see.
sod off.
Well, it's a Friday night, isn't it?
It's Friday night, isn't it? Yeah.
Sitting around with a few drinks.
Yep. Yeah.
Dirty old songs.
Dirty old songs. God, that tempts me to sing something, but I'm not going to.
I think, before you go any further, I think there are still 16 people on YouTube, and I'm sure they all want to hear you sing something dirty. I mean, I think we could just give them 20 or 30 seconds to write that, to put that in the YouTube thing. Let's see. Let's see how quickly.
I was going to comment on that. I really enjoyed that that version of The Old Man from Lee. My wife sings it as well, and it's very easy for people to do it as a kind of comedy song.
Didn't take very long. Filth. They're calling for filth.
Calling for filth, absolutely. The question is how filthy. She does it really dead straight, and it's often done as a comedy song, and it's really nice to hear your take on it, because it's not. You're doing it as a almost as a blues, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Thank you very much. It is as somebody, my friend here has put in here, Nick Cave it up. It is a bit Nick Cavey. I mean, It is the sort of song that you would imagine Nick Cave might do.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is one of those things that is sometimes played for laughs.
It's not Stagger Lee. But...
No. No. But there's, the things like the Whirly Wall variant on it. And yeah, he's got no flaurum, no fiddle iorum. He's got no flaurum, no fiddle ia. Speaking of the nonsense variants here. Oh, God, what filth am I going to sing?
What filth are you going to give us?
What filth am I going to sing?
The audience numbers have swelled to 17, and 17 people, I imagine.
17 people want filth, yes.
They're just hanging there to see what absolute nastiness you can give us.
I am so not singing the really filthy stuff.
Thank you, Vicky. Ultimate filth. Stephen Field wants ultimate filth. I missed all of that. Oh, Marion, we're just deciding just how filthy Piers should be.
Someone in the comments mentioned that she thinks that they thought that Kath Tyler does a version of The Old Man from Lee, and I'm pretty sure Kath does it pretty straight. Oh, you're in for a treat.
I mean, I would. It's an interesting thing that you think that I've just done that fairly straight. I mean, I do. I suppose I do it fairly dry. I mean, I do find the verse when I do it live, where I'm actually sort of in a room with people.
Yeah.
I do make a bit more of that verse about giving him toast. It just sort of springs out of nowhere. Like you've got all this build up of him being, get him in the house. He's coming. He's this nasty. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
kind of got his wobbly head, and he's all this
Yeah, yeah.
business, and then she says, "Give him some toast," and it's
I
what?
think that was the verse I didn't hear.
Yeah, well, there you go. It always gets me. I love it. I love it for that.
Yes.
Like it breaks the tension in the middle of the song. It's like, what? That's all he wants?
Yeah.
A round of toast? I mean, we all
Yeah,
want
yeah,
a round of toast at some point, but I could do with a round of toast now. It's that time of night.
Always. I've got some bread downstairs and a toaster. Yeah. Oh Christ! I can imagine Ready Pete absolutely kills it, Denise. Wow.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, and I do. That was an interesting thing, actually, Denise, is that when I was learning the songs for Midlife for my album from Birmingham in the Midlands, that song cropped up in, I don't know where it was. It was possibly a book that I found, and there was the story that I told before I played the song about it being a song that had been collected in rugby at Christmas. And actually, at the time that I was learning it, Lankham, or Lynched as they were called back then,
Yeah.
they had just released their Cold Old Fire album, and it was on it, and it was one of those kind of things like, do I bother now that somebody else is singing this so recently and so well, because it's Ready Pete and she's just an extraordinary singer. I mean, my friend Stephen Field, who's on this chat here, Stephen and I went for my 40th birthday. Steve came with me, and John, who's also somewhere on here earlier, John Nice. We went to Normafest up in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
In 2017, I think it was.
The last one, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, may well have been. I think they might have done another one afterwards. I can't remember anyway.
Yeah.
But we went to a pub after one of the shows, and there was a big lock-in, and we were sat at a big table. And there's a great video of it. If you go and look on my YouTube channel, look for the Silver Spear Reel. Silver Spear Reel. And do a search, Silver Spear Reel John Wilks, and you'll find this kind of little clip, and in it there's me playing guitar, and there's Eliza playing fiddle, and there's Lankham playing, all of them playing along,
and everything,
there's Stick in the Wheel, a part of it, and it's this huge amazing little clip of a session from about 3:00 in the morning on my birthday.
Hey,
and it was just
fantastic.
a great evening. But Raddy stood up in the middle of that evening, and she sung this song that had very strong pro-Irish sort of sentiment to it, and the whole pub went dead. And then when she got to the chorus, all these Irish people who you just didn't know were, or people with Irish connections or knew this song, started singing this kind of rousing chorus, and it was like hairs on the back of your neck.
Oh yeah,
quite stunning.
Yes, I remember you talking with Jackie Oates about the Sweet Nightingale and how you were staggered by everybody joining in when Jackie had said nothing and all that kind of stuff. And that's that. It's that thing about I loved it. I loved hearing it because it reminded me how special it is. Because it's like, if you've been going to folk clubs for a while, well, that's just what everyone does. Then I think the thing that I really enjoy about the Old Songs podcast and about the Grizzly Folk blog was that you were keenly interested, and your delight came through as well. And that's the thing that it's a little bit easy to get jaded. I try not to, and things like Raddy singing something like that in that context, those moments are magical. And it was nice to be reminded how special some of the things about folk clubs and about folk concerts are, really. And so thank you. Thank you for.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for saying so. I mean, like it was all heartfelt and is all heartfelt. I think my wife has probably gone to bed now and is probably complaining because I'm making noise. Maybe she's still out there on the YouTubes, but I am keenly aware of the fact that it does take over a huge part of my waking life.
Yes.
the hunt for interesting songs. But it's I just find it so amazing that there are these
Emmy's
songs
there. You're
out
all
there.
right.
I just find it so amazing that there are these songs out there that that uh, that have existed for so much longer than any of us have
Yes.
and will.
Yeah.
And when you're singing a song like Holly Ho, which I sung earlier, and that it belonged to a group of people specifically in the Cross Guns pub in Cradley Heath
Yeah.
in the Black Country, and
Yeah.
that they were singing that every night, and that was their end of Friday night song,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that you're singing that now. That's a relatively young song. That's
Yes.
only 100 years or so old, and but then you sing things like Tam Lin, which are almost undateable.
Yeah.
And I think the oldest song that I've got in my repertoire is about 1587, and it's
Wow.
brilliant because
Yeah.
it's about Bromsgrove, and it's about a knight prancing around in Bromsgrove. I had a friend, and Steve had a friend from
Is that the
Bromsgrove.
Noble Hunter of Bromsgrove or something like that?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
jovial
The
hunter.
jovial hunter of Bromsgrove. Yeah.
And we had a friend who was from Bromsgrove. He was pretty jovial and quite knightly. So I always picture him in my head when I'm singing that song. But it's quite amazing, that these songs are just that
Absolutely.
people have had them for so long.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for me to get passionate and get
Yeah.
involved and want to know about it.
Yes.
What are you going to sing for us?
Yeah, I'm just saying thank you, Dovey. Apparently, they absolutely adore our accents and wishes good evening.
Who?
Over on Twitch. Dovey's Designs on Twitch. Apparently, we've got lovely accents.
Well, you've got a lovely accent. I mean, I've just mimicked it. But yours is a proper one. You're a proper...
Well, yours is a proper accent. I mean, mine's not. Christ,
I don't have a Brummie accent. I've
mine's
got a slightly fake Brummie accent.
Mine's not a very Yorkshire accent, really. I'm posh Yorkshire, maybe.
You've had a yacht, haven't you?
I've had a yacht. Yeah.
You're a Yorkshire
I've
man who's been on a yacht.
When I was 18 months old, I got run over by a vintage Lagonda.
I mean, I should explain to people that this yacht thing is that when I chatted to Piers about where he got a lot of his songs, the posh got them all on a yacht trip.
Not all.
He's not like some working class folkie.
It wasn't really a yacht. It was a keelboat, He
went off on a yacht trip somewhere and came back with a load of songs.
It wasn't a yacht that I got most of those. So that was the Yorkshire Belle. It was a pleasure steamer off the... Anyway.
It was a yacht. Also, it was a yacht and you know it, yacht boy.
Vicky is asking, what's Normafest?
Sorry, what's Normafest? So Normafest, unfortunately, I'm not sure that it still exists. I hope that they'll do it again. But basically, it was run by Eliza Carthy and her family. We talked at the beginning of this 3 or 4, 5, 6 days ago, or however long it was ago that we started tonight's thing. We talked about Martin Carthy. Obviously, he's Eliza's dad. Eliza's mum, for those that don't know, is Norma Waterson, who is an extraordinary singer and part of the Watersons, which let's not start. Go and listen to the Watersons if you don't know.
Yeah. Just go to YouTube, search for the Watersons, Frost and Fire, or Sound Your Instruments of Joy.
I think the best YouTube Watersons video is the one where it's in the Blue Bell. I think was the pub that they run a folk club in the 60s, and they're singing Halland Toe, and it's just a great gateway.
Oh yes, it's from Travelling for a Living, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's
fantastic.
A recording that is
we've gone off.
Available through Paul Davenport of a recording of a night at the Blue Bell in the 60s.
Oh, amazing! Well, there you go. That would be worth having.
I'll try and get it to you.
Anyway, a few years ago, Norma was not well, and I think a lot of people helped raise money for her to help her with her well-being. And they started an annual festival in Whitby that often ran in the depths of winter, and it happened to run that year on my birthday, which was...
It's basically to celebrate Norma's birthday, and because she's not well and can't really tour much. So
was it her birthday as well? Yes, that
it's
is
around
true.
that time. Yeah,
it's yes, because she can't go anywhere, so they bring the festival to her. And anyway, it's lovely. It's a fantastic weekend, and it's quite small, so it's not a vast festival. And if you get the chance to go, it's great because you just get to mingle with some wonderful, wonderful musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, What else are people saying before we go?
Dovey is asking if either of us know Fiddler's Green. I'm afraid I don't.
I don't, I'm afraid. Yes,
Sorry.
Hallantoe, Denise. Yes, Hallantoe.
I've still got to come up with some smut.
Are you going to close on smut?
Probably not a close on smut, but I'll sing some smut and then sing.
Are you going to
close.
sing out and out smut, or are you going to sing sort of masked smut in the form of the Sweet Nightingale or something like that? Because that's the thing, isn't it? Sweet Nightingale is code.
Yeah.
People hear Sweet Nightingale and they think that they're listening to this beautiful song about Sweet Nightingale. But actually,
if birds are singing or musicians are playing music, basically there's shagging going on. Is roughly the code. It's not much of a code, let's be honest.
to lie in the valley below is, well,
yes,
it's quite obvious
okay.
when you say it like that, isn't it? Anyway, what are you going to sing? Come on.
As I was a-walking one morning in spring, I met a as I was a-walking one morning in May, I met a pretty fair maid, and unto her did say, for love I'm inclined, I'm telling you me mind, that me inclination lies in your cuckoo's nest. My darling, said she, I'm innocent and young, and I scarcely believe your false deluding tongue, yet I see it in your eyes, it fills me with surprise that your inclination lies in me cuckoo's nest. Now some like a girl who is pretty in the face, and some like a girl who is slender in the waist. Oh, but give me a girl, we'll wriggle and we'll twist, at the bottom of the belly lies the cuckoo's nest. My darling, said she, I'm telling you no lie, I'm thinking of fondness, and do not be surprised, for I love you, my dear. I'll marry you as well if you let me put me hands into your cuckoo's nest. My darling, said she, I cannot do such thing, for me mother often told me it was committing sin for me maiden to lose, me sex to be abused, so I have no more to do with me cuckoo's nest. Now some like a girl who is pretty in the face, and some like a girl who is slender in the waist. Oh, but give me a girl, we'll wriggle and we'll twist, at the bottom of the belly lies your cuckoo's nest. My darling, said he, it's not committing sin, for common sense should tell you it is a pleasing thing. We're brought into this world to increase and do our best, and to help a man to heaven in your cuckoo's nest. My darling, said she, I cannot you deny, for you fairly won me heart with the roving of your eye, and I see it in your eyes, your courage is delight, so gently lift your hands into me cuckoo's nest. Now some like a girl who is pretty in the face, and some like a girl who is slender in the waist. Oh, but give me a girl, we'll wriggle and we'll twist, at the bottom of the belly lies your cuckoo's nest. This couple, they got married, and so they went to bed, and now this pretty fair maid has lost her maidenhead, and in a small country cottage they increase and do their best, and he often claps his hand upon a cuckoo's nest. Now some like a girl who is pretty in the face, and some like a girl who is slender in the waist. Oh, but give me a girl, we'll wriggle and we'll twist, at the bottom of the belly lies the cuckoo's nest. The bottom of the belly lies, the bottom of the belly lies, the bottom of the belly lies the cuckoo's nest.
Very nice and really quite naughty.
Yes, but it's a really sweet version of it. I usually with those songs, it's a bit. I mean, the Sweet Nightingale, he just badgers her until she says, "Oh, all right then." Whereas in this, they seem to both be dancing around the fact that they both know exactly what they want, and it's not as it's not as. There's another variant of it with this sort of roistering. Hi, the cuckoo, oh, the cuckoo, oh, the cuckoo's nest. Hi, the cuckoo, oh, the cuckoo, oh, the cuckoo's nest. I'll give you a shilling and a bottle of the best if you let me clap me hands upon your cuckoo's nest, or something like that. And it's just like, ugh. But that is just, it's really kind of sweet. It's almost a proper genuine love song whilst also being smutty, which I love.
It's lovely. Very lovely, yeah. And it's upset Stephen Field's Pornhub algorithms.
Yeah.
I don't think we
Steve,
can go any further.
we have to go looking for Steve Cooney as well, I'm told.
I think we've taken the tradition right bang up into modern times there.
Right. So I'm gonna close with something.
Okay. How do I
this-
say goodbye then? Do I listen to you and then disappear, or what happens? How do you
I don't
finish
know.
these? Have you got traditions here?
Finish? No, not really. God, no. I'm still working out how this thing works, you know.
Right, okay. Before you sing, I just
Yeah.
want to say thank you so much for this. I've had a really nice night. I've had a really quite shitty week at work, and this has been a real joy. And it's been lovely to spend time listening to you. It's been lovely to spend time chatting with the people online. And long may this continue. And
Thank you very
please,
much.
anybody who's not done it yet, get your credit card out and give Piers at least a cup of coffee, because he really deserves it.
There. URL there. Easy
There.
to type.
There you go. Away you go. Sing your song of
Right.
sixpence.
The first time ever I saw your face, I thought the sun rose in your eye, and the moon and stars were the gift you gave to the dark and empty skies, my love. To the dark and empty skies. The first time ever I kissed your lips, I felt the earth move in my hand, like the trembling of a captive bird that was there at my command, my love, that was there at my command. The first time ever I lay with you and felt your heartbeat next to mine, I thought our love would fill the earth and would last till the end of time, my love, and would last till the end of time. I have no idea where I chose to sing that as my last song, because it's really not a good night song.
I think it's a good way to wipe away some of the smut, isn't it?
Yes.
Well done.
Vicky has pointed out, back to smut, I'm afraid. Vicky has pointed out that the shilling in the bottle and the best, the last line is, if you'll ruffle up the feathers of me cuckoo's nest. So it's clearly the woman singing it. But anyway, sorry. I'll sing a proper good night song now, I think, because that... I don't know why. They just landed in my head again. Sing me! So I did. Soon tomorrow's sun will rise and dawn will paint the sky. There's time for just this parting song before we say goodbye. So sing together one and all and raise a glass of wine. Here's hoping we shall meet again along the road of time. We've shared our stories, yours and mine. We've shared our hopes and fears in memories of days gone by. We both roll back the years. So sing together one and all and raise a glass of wine. Here's hoping we shall meet again along the road of of time. The ever-turning fateful wheel must cause our ways to part, and bring in untold mysteries another day will start. So sing together one and all, and raise a glass of wine. Here's hoping we shall meet again along the road of time. For from endings come beginnings, from the old springs the new. With hope for tomorrow, we'll see our parting through. So sing together one and all, and raise a glass of wine. Here's hoping we shall meet again along the road of time. Yes, sing together one and all, and raise a glass of wine. Here's hoping we shall meet again along the road of time.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Dave Webber wrote that, and it's an absolute corker, isn't it?
In it, though.
John, it's been an absolute pleasure singing with you. I'm going to have you back to do this again at some point because it's just too much fun.
Yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah.
I'll have to learn some more songs. I mean,
No, the great thing about it, it's live. It only stays up for a week. If we leave it long enough, people will be like, can we have John again? And there was this song you did that I really liked, and you can repeat, and it's not a problem.
well, maybe I should say that on September 6th, I am doing a full folk club set, 245 minutes
Fantastic.
for the Ready Folk online stream.
Oh, brilliant.
If you fancy it, please all come along. I will play some of the songs that I play tonight. Well, if you look for it's red as in Reading, the town.
Yeah.
Ready Folk, READI Folk, Ready Folk. They've got a Facebook page. I don't know how they go. I think they're going to broadcast it on Zoom or something like that. But I don't know. Anyway, we'll find out all of that business.
Yeah, I've just told them what your Twitter handle is. Also, johnwilks.online is the place for John's blog and announcements. He also I'm one of those weird musicians who doesn't mind people listening to me on Spotify. Don't mind at all. But please follow me on Spotify if you're going to do that, because it helps those algorithms and not the Pornhub algorithms that Steve was talking about either. John also has his own YouTube channel and occasionally posts some really good. If you like his finger picking here and guitar playing here, you'll enjoy his videos. And if you search for John Wilks Music on YouTube, you will find him. I recommend subscribing and following and liking and doing all that things. I also recommend subscribing and following and liking on here, possibly subscribing on Twitch if you're that way inclined. Because we are streaming to two places. It's just Twitch is quite a small audience compared to the YouTube audience. Still 13 people listening to us blether on like this.
Yeah, and somebody I know who is just sort of finding their way into traditional music and sort of deciding if they like it or not, has just sent me a WhatsApp message after having watched this and said, "What I've learnt from folk music tonight: stay the fuck away from the Greenwoods."
This is a very good point. Very good point. Well made. Unless you're Lady Margaret and you're gagging for it.
Yeah, well.
But we didn't sing that one, so.
And if we did, we'd be here for another hour. I'm going to go to bed. 10
minutes. Yeah. Sleep well. Thank you, everyone who's chucked money in the Ko-fi pot. It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege singing for you. It feels like cheating getting people giving me money for this, but
you deserve it, Piers. You deserve it. It's people who do. You've just hosted 3 hours and kept at least 17 people engaged. And the same friend who said about the Fuck the Greenwood said, "This has been my Friday evening, and I'm very happy about it." So there you go.
Oh, thank you very much, John's friend. That's very kind, and Yeah, well, be next week. I need to nail down. I was about to say nail down the woman I'm singing with, which
you can say those sort of things because you know your wife doesn't watch this, don't you? That's what you're doing.
anyway. I think I know who's going to be the guest next week. If not,
I don't. If she's been watching, I doubt that she's going to be your guest anymore after what you've just said.
I'll talk to her on Facebook, and we should have it sorted out by the end of the weekend. And I have a couple of possibles, but one person I asked first and actually set the date, but I need to confirm with her. Thank you all so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to have to stop now because my voice will not keep going. You've all been great. John's been fabulous. Vicky, Marion, Stephen. Who am I thanking on Ko-fi? Denise, Chantel, Vicky, David, Anonymous, John Nice, M, Reinhard, Ntronomicon, Jackie Oates, Carl Sinfield, Gloria Goodwin. You say that, her surname. Rahija?
I think Rahija, I think it was, yeah.
Fred, Kevin Pritchoff, Kathy.
Pritchard, yeah.
Kathy's from the week before. But thank you all very much. It's been an absolute pleasure singing for you. Good night, sleep well, have a good one. And they've gone.